Sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan. Rochester. An Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Gene's a big timer, a social misfit. Clueless to the title of the biggest buskeg hits. Chuck Munchie's goons have the last say. So thanks for your time, Mr. Mayo. Danger likes his cold ones and he likes his bears. But this is Rochester, cute Francesa.
Oh, who cares?
He's critical of Sean, he's critical of Alan. Of course he married Sandy, cause she's Italian. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
You know, I'm very excited to be in the sports bar this afternoon with my new co-host, Gene Battaglia. Hi, I'm Mike Danger. I don't know that we've ever met. This is a new Gene Battaglia. The old Gene Battaglia is no longer with us. This is a new Gene Battaglia.
I'm easier to work with, right? I'm not as grumpy.
You're likable.
Yeah,
when did this happen? When did you become likable, less grumpy? I mean, this is what the Mets can do to you?
It's what I haven't experienced this in quite a long time, Mike Danger. I've been in an abusive relationship with the baseball team I like.
The last time they made it to this point was 2015. Our show began in the summer of 2016.
2015, the Mets actually swept the Cubs. But that kind of set the stage for the Cubs the next year to win everything. And then the Mets would lose in 5 games to Kansas City. And it's just been ever since that point, like wild card losses. Never won a clinching game at Citi Field until last night.
It was a special scene. It really was. I mean, we're going to get into a lot of this. We might talk more baseball today than we've talked about all year long. And I think it's appropriate. Your Mets are in the NLCS. The Yankees are on the verge of advancing to the ALCS. I think the majority of baseball fans in Rochester are either Yankees or Mets fans. I know we have some Red Sox fans listening as well, but it's mostly Yankees and Mets, wouldn't you say? Some Blue Jays, maybe.
Wow. Who's the second most popular team? No Blue Jays. No. I don't think, I know one. Well, 2 if you count my son. It's an oddity that they're only 3 hours away and people... I think there's more Red Sox fans than Met fans.
Really?
Honestly, yeah. I don't know. Somebody tell well, far and away, it's the Yankees. And I love watching Yankee Twitter last night. And one of our guests, I should point this out, Alex Braskill joined us in the 4 o'clock hour. Bill's Digest, Batavia News, noted Yankee fan.
He's a big Yankee guy.
When it was looking a little dicey for the Yankees last night, said he was going to cancel his appearance today.
Showing a little cowardice there, Brasky. I don't like that.
I will just point out that Mike Catalana is a gentleman, a true competitor. I appreciate everybody that reached out on social media last night, and I try to get back to everybody. But one of those guys who has my phone number obviously is Catalana. Text me right away. Congratulations.
Class.
You guys won.
All class. Did you get a text from our 3 o'clock hour guest, from Dan Fates?
No.
Ooh.
Now, look, Dan has 2 daughters, 1 on the way.
Yeah.
He's a busy guy. So
okay.
I'm not gonna but let's see how Dan.
I think there are levels of maturity to your fandom here. I think you've got one fan in Catalana handling it with class. I mean, that was his team that you dispatched of. He's a Phillies guy.
Right, and that could also be part of it too, because if it's Phillies Braves, am I sitting down? Probably not. So is Dan Fates sitting down for Phillies Mets? I can't say for sure.
His season is over.
His season's over. Done. Yeah, he's done.
Well, Dan will stop by. We'll talk a little baseball with Dan Fates, but really Brasky and Fates today. We're going to go Bills heavy and talk Bills practice today, the injury report. We'll look ahead to what's in store for the team Monday night when they take on the Jets in the Meadowlands.
Yeah, it does not look good for James Cook, does it not? Because all the internet sleuths figured out, what did this toe injury, what is this all about?
Where did it come from?
Yeah, and you realized, there was that drive that Josh Allen came back in, the second from last one, where they settled for the field goal. And settled, I mean, hey, you could have gotten a touchdown, maybe stole that game. But it's a pass to the near sideline, and he comes down hard. James Cook comes down hard, clearly not in bounds. But then you realize, when he's coming down, your eyes aren't paying attention to the toe, which gets driven into the ground too.
Really,
right?
really looked bad. I mean, if it's a turf toe, and it looks like it is a turf toe for James Cook, I mean, that's a couple of weeks at least.
It's best case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I know we have a lot of Yankee fans listening. Go ask Aaron Judge how that went last year.
Yeah.
Like, you can be on the field and then not right. And I'm wondering if that is what is actually going on with Curtis Samuel. And if that's the case, that he's out there, but he's not 100%, then you know what? Maybe get somebody who is 100% and let Curtis Samuel work on whatever he needs to work on with the turf toe, we think what it is. We'll get the thoughts of Dan Fates, 13 Wham. He's coming up at the bottom of the hour.
And we'll have Alex Brasky, as you mentioned, joining us at 4:25. We'll talk more Bills with the editor of Bills Digest, the Batavia Daily News as well. Alex Brasky, 4:25. Your calls at 866-4326. You're welcome to join us anytime at 585-8664-FAN. You can engage on Elon's Twitter. That's X, at The Fan Rochester. We appreciate you checking out the video stream, our YouTube channel, at The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe while you're there. Do us a solid, and we're also streaming on Twitch and on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan.
So what I was thinking, why the Red Sox, are they actually more popular in the area than the Mets? A noted Red Sox fan, proud sponsor of the show, Mo, was over visiting Mo today.
Mo!
And what's Mo's rooting interest? Anybody playing the Yankees here, basically. And Mo wanted to. Hey, every Yankee fan that's getting excited, he's Mike Stanton. Mike Stanton, and then, I want to be taken more seriously. I want to be called Giancarlo. I had totally forgot about that. He was Mike Stanton with the Marlins, and then year 3 switches over.
I don't even remember.
Well, I read up the story. Apparently, as a kid, he was, and I can relate to this, he was called his name is Giancarlo.
Right.
But some other kids kind of got on him and everything, so he decided when he got in high school to go by Mike. Let me tell you something. Like, when you're in grammar school and, I don't know, your name happens to be Eugene, it's a little tough sometimes. So I'm going to give Giancarlo Stanton a pass there.
Eugene, I can relate. My middle name is something I don't share often because when I was younger, whenever it was brought up, I got drilled.
I have no idea what your middle name is.
You know that I'm half Spanish.
Right.
My mother is from Spain. My middle name, real middle name, is Carlos.
Huh.
So my real name, I've said this before on the air. I'm not breaking
now
ground
I remember
here.
that, yeah.
Christopher Carlos Leverage. Chris Carlos Leverage. Christopher Carlos Leverage. So Carlos is my middle name. Mike Danger is a stage name. The guy that I had dinner with on Saturday night in Chicago gave me the stage name, Mike Danger. You know what he said to me when we were talking about the story at dinner?
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
You didn't remember it?
No, he remembered it.
Okay.
He remembered some of it. He didn't remember all of it. When I said that, you basically just said, I just want to call one of my guys Mike Danger. He's like, yeah, that sounds about right. That checks out. The thing he said to me, though, that I thought was funny was, I can't believe they let you still use that name, that you're still that name. And he's right, because if I were to change jobs and work for multiple companies or different programmers or different, markets, they might hear that and be like, yeah, you're not Mike Danger anymore. I had a guy, I applied for a job. This is when I was still working in Minnesota. I applied for a job where he's like, yeah, we would have to change your name from Mike Danger. I'm like, all right, whatever you want to do, man. I'm willing to do whatever to get this job. He's like, would you be willing to be called Skillet? I was this close to getting hired by a guy who wanted to call me on the air Skillet. This is when I was still doing Top 40 radio. And he's like, yeah, we're going to call you Skillet. I'm like, Skillet? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, whatever you say.
So, but you've seen other people like, okay, I'm going to leave behind the stage name. We've talked about this, but just take your temperature on this. 2016, we start the show here, and you're still Mike Danger. You didn't want to switch over at that point.
Well, no, it would have been silly, I think, to do it, because what do people know me as at this point? I mean, I've been in Rochester now for over 25 years.
Sports.
No.
How many times did I get who is this guy? I'm like, no, he's really talented. Trust me.
Well, I appreciate that, but I also think that because I've kind of morphed into all of these different roles and different radio stations through the years, that it's still a more memorable name than
people
Chris
just
Leverich.
People just call you by one name here. It's just Danger.
Right. It'd be like if the Wii show became the Alan Levin show, I think people would understand what's going on, but it's not going to happen. He's Wheeze.
Yeah.
It's not, Tony Matthews anymore. It's Tony Infantino, but it's still Tony. You know what I mean? Everybody knows Tony.
Yeah.
So, the people that have been in this market for a long, long time, guys that I've just mentioned, that had a stage name and got away from it, I could have one day just come in here and be like, you know what? It's been a good run. Let's retire the name Mike Danger, but that's not doing you or I any good. And who really cares at this stage? People call me Danger. My daughter explains it best because she sees it firsthand. She sees when I'm in dad mode, and for years I'm on the sideline, and I'm her dad. I'm Chris, and all the soccer parents knew me as Chris, and this is Leah's dad, Chris. And then she also sees me in other settings where it's like, hey, let's go see Danger. Or, hey, let's hang out with Danger. Hey, Danger, what are we doing? Neighbors would call me that. But neighbors also, the people closest to me, it doesn't matter. Go, whatever you call me, I'm going to turn my head and I'm going to answer to Danger, Mike, Chris, whatever. I get what Giancarlo Stanton went through. You get what he went through.
I get what he's going through. And
Mo.
I remember, too, okay, I remember that trepidation, do I when we're off the air? Do I call you Chris? Do I call you Danger?
What Danger's like a nickname now.
Well, right, and I just kind of do it so I don't trip myself up on the air.
Right,
because I've talked to your brother-in-law hey, you're going to go over to Chris tonight, watch the game. I'm like, who's Chris? Oh, yeah. It totally doesn't click. Yeah.
Right, and he never calls me Danger. He never calls me by my station, but he's also in the industry, so he,
it's a little different.
It's a little different, yeah. So I get Giancarlo Stanton going back to Giancarlo from Mike, avoiding Giancarlo in his formative years to end the bullying or whatever harassment he was getting. It all makes sense to me. He was the hero last night for the Yankees.
This is what you pay. This is why you pay all this money. I would contend. I suppose I should have data and stats to back this up, but I believe he's one of the streakiest hitters we've seen. When Stanton gets hot, look out. And for 1 year, he had 59 homers with the Marlins. That's easy, right? Pitch around him. Well, not everybody figured it out. He was incredibly hot for 1 year. But when it goes south, forget it. And then you have a lot of injuries mixed in. So, oh, my gosh, if you can get this guy hitting at the right time, that was a tough atmosphere. The Yankees pull it out last night. I'm impressed. And now we are what? Let's see here. Well, that would be one half of the way. Mets getting there. We want a Subway Series, right?
A Subway Series would be unbelievable. It'd be so much fun. But I think with that Subway Series comes a pretty stark contrast in these two teams. Not necessarily their teams, but the fan bases. The thing that I keep seeing and hearing, and you've probably seen it and heard it as well if you've watched any of the game. That game at Citi Field, the last two nights, electric, fun, great atmosphere, loud. They're into it, right? Yankee Stadium's different, man. It's just not that. It's just not that. We have a coworker who went to game. Was it game 2 that he went to? I want to say game 1.
Game 2, the one
game
that
2.
Lost. Yeah,
he went to game 2. And
quick story about that. So he went down there because one of his neighbors, Evan, did the national anthem.
Yeah.
Rochester guy doing the national anthem, and I should know Evan's last name. Evan briefly meets Martha Stewart.
Yes. How bad is that?
Yeah, so Martha Stewart then is so impressed with Evan's national anthem. She's got 5 million followers.
Uh-huh.
She tweets it out.
Uh-huh.
She tags the wrong Evan. Is that not a curb your enthusiasm moment?
Who amongst us hasn't? I mean, let's be honest. I probably have tagged the wrong person time and time again when trying to give credit where credit is due. And it's not an easy thing to do all the time and be 100% all the time. And then add on top of it, you're Martha freaking Stewart. I mean, how much time are you really spending on social media, or do you have people to do that, for you?
Yeah, Evan Harrington, who went to Fredonia, that's his name. Evan Harrington from from Webster, and Martha Stewart tags the wrong Evan Harrington. So do you think somebody would have said, take that down, Martha, or Martha's person, or wherever she had do it? No. So it's yeah, you got close there, Evan, but sorry.
If I'm Evan Harrington, I wouldn't lose too much sleep over that. I would sleep comfortably knowing you have this immense gift, this unbelievable talent, and so what? Now, Martha Stewart actually believes that you are this fantastic voice. That's validation enough. You don't really need the social media validation.
I'm going to actually defend Yankee fan here because you're not the only one to have said this. I've heard this, and because I follow a lot of Chiefs Twitter, it all of a sudden morphs over to Royals Twitter, and they were furious last night, meaning same things are being said. Like, wait a second, this is actually loud. It's hopping. And did it actually come across that way? No. I think it's the way TBS kind of mixes the audio. You have FS1, and it's a little louder.
Okay.
So that I'm hearing the same thing. So that's part of it. Part two, I think you lost something in the old Yankee Stadium. The old Yankee Stadium, particularly the upper deck, was really loud and would just kind of rain down on you. And maybe I'm thinking back to the heyday, with Jeter and those championships at the end of the 90s there. The new stadium, it just feels like they didn't lay this out. New City Field, I believe, is more superior for the general fan, where Yankee Stadium caters more to the upper end.
Yeah.
But then, Danger, there's also this element called geography. Okay, you're a Met fan. Chances are you live in New York. Well, you're either living Queens or Brooklyn or Long Island. It's a little more blue-collar working class as opposed to Westchester, maybe New Jersey. And I'm generalizing, of course, but Yankee fan, Giant fan, Met fan, Jet fan. There are clear lines here where your loyalties lie in New York City.
Yeah. Well, the atmospheres are quite different, in my opinion. And I wonder if we do get a Subway Series, I wonder just how much that plays into it. Like if you go to a World Series game 1 and 2 at Yankee Stadium, and then games 3 and 4 at Citi Field, you'll hear a difference. You'll see a difference between the atmosphere in both ballparks.
I'm not sure, because how many Yankee and vice versa? How would it be split? You would think that it would all be Yankee fans, but how many Met fans would infiltrate and vice versa? It's fascinating. I was ready to say Mets Padres, and then that did not look good. Dylan Cease again bad last night for that. So if you didn't stay up for that, that's going to go to a Game 5 tomorrow night. So maybe we do get Mets Dodgers after all.
And speaking of, just to put a bow on the Mets Phillies series, I mean, we've been saying it for weeks. Francisco Lindor should be the MVP. He shows up again last night with the Grand Slam. If you're a Phillies fan today, are you questioning your $300 million shortstop when you see what the Mets' $300 million shortstop looks like? Because Trey Turner was invisible in this series.
I'd say the whole lineup was. Like, the game 1, okay, you have the Schwarber home run, and then that was it. Game 2, the bats came alive, and not so much. That should have been a game where Philadelphia, oh my gosh, the Mets are leaving the bases loaded. They left the bases loaded again. That should have been, by that point, 3-0 and within reach. And because the Mets, so Trey Turner is right at the top of the list. Here's who I assess the blame in Philadelphia. Rob Thompson, their manager. You are facing elimination. You have one of the best pitchers in the National League, okay? Yes, it would have been great had you gotten to Game 5 and used Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler, Game 1 was exquisite until you decided he threw too many pitches, and then your bullpen blew it for you. If you put Zach Wheeler in last night, okay, then take your chances in your home crowd, okay, with the bullpen or whatever it is. Get to Game 5. So that would be my question. And, yes, it would have been short rest and blah, 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 but Ranger Suarez was living dangerously, and
he really was. Yeah, that was a hairy start to the game, and it ended up being where the Mets did get over when it was all said and done, and erasing that early deficit that they had in Game 4. So the Mets advance. Lindor, does it with what a lot of people are saying, a class. like no bat flip. I saw a lot of that too. Like, this is how it should be. This is what a real, this is a classy baseball player. This is how it should be done. I'm like, yes, he hit a grand slam. He's acting like he's been there before because he has. But I'm also not going to get upset at any player that decides they want to do a bat flip in an emotional moment if they can't control that emotion and it results in a bat flip or showing up the pitcher in some way.
Look, I'm not saying that this is the way to do it or that's the way to do it. Well, my takeaway was, okay, yeah, we're up 4-1, and we've been in this game. We got a lot more work to do. You still have 8 more wins to get to where you're.
Yeah, unfinished business.
Like unfinished business. That's the way. My takeaway from it. Oh my gosh. So last night, then I'm watching this in the 9th inning, and I'm horrified. I'm absolutely horrified that Schwarber is up after Diaz.
Yeah.
You have a 3-run lead. Don't freaking walk anybody. Throw a damn strike. If they hit a home run, so be it. But don't put a runner on base.
That's right. They put 2 on base, and with 2 out there and Schwarber at the plate, you're thinking the worst. You're thinking the worst case scenario given how he was pitching. They get out of it. They get the win. They advance to the NLCS, and you're welcome. I told you this was going to happen yesterday.
Because you bet on the Phillies.
That's right.
You fool.
That's right. I bet Phillies on the money line. I got some plus money, and I'm like, yeah, let's go Phillies. And I can't lose. If I lose, I'm going to be happy for my buddy Gene and for Kevin and for all the Mets fans that are in my life. Dan Drummy, the Dandalorian. I mean, everybody that's a Mets fan that was excited last night, I'm excited for you. That was a lot of fun. They're a fun team. Lindor should be the MVP. He won't be, but he should be the MVP. I mean, it's remarkable what he's done this season. He's carried that team, and last night was no different. Got to continue to do it, and he kind of recognizes that through his actions that this is not over yet. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Let's get to Dan Fates, 13 Web Sports, BuffaloPlus.com. We'll head to Orchard Park, and we'll find out exactly what went on in that practice field today, a little bit more on these injuries for the Buffalo Bills as well, all in advance of Monday night's matchup against the New York Jets in the Meadowlands. Dan Fates next on The Fan.
update.
Bills back on the practice field. James Cook, Khalil Shakir, and Oliver once again not practicing today. The official report we're still waiting on. Daquan Jones on the Jets.
They have Aaron Rodgers back there, so, I mean, they're a good football team. The defense played hard. They fly around. So it's definitely a team that we can't take for granted based off their record and how they've been playing.
Dan Bates, 13 Wham and Buffalo Plus. We'll talk some Bills football coming up next here in the Sports Bar. Yankees looking to close things out tonight in Kansas City. Garrett Cole going up against Michael Wacha. 8:08 p.m. the first pitch. Game 4 of Tigers Guardians. It's at 6:08. A win for Detroit, and they go to the ALCS. Tonight on the Fan Rochester, it's the home opener for the Buffalo Sabres. They take on the LA Kings. Our coverage begins at 7. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, the Fan Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The Buffalo Bills have not lost 3 games in a row with Josh Allen as their quarterback. Monday night, they travel to the Meadowlands. They're taking on the New York Jets. The New York Jets, who've just moved on from their head coach, Robert Saleh, and are making all kinds of changes. You would expect that those changes would take effect and have an impact on Monday night's game. To break it all down and to preview Monday night's matchup, we welcome in 13 Wham Sports and BuffaloPlus.com's Dan Fates for his Thursday afternoon visit here in the Sports Bar. Fatesy, good to have you on with us. We could talk a little bit about how that game ended on Sunday, that second loss in a row to the Buffalo Bills to the Houston Texans, a game that was certainly within reach, but I think the storyline that's kind of consumed everything this week in preparation for Monday are these injuries and some of these significant injuries that just popped up this week. So what do we know about the health of Khalil Shakir, James Cook, Ed Oliver, and others?
Shakir seems to be trending in the right direction. I'll use one of Sean McDermott's phrases. Got to see him yesterday kind of running. He always kind of runs. We joked around about him at training camp that he's MVS called him a wine bottle opener because it takes him a little while to actually get going. So it's hard to analyze his gait or stride working off the side of practice, but was doing a lot of agility drills, was working on releases, things like that. My money is that Shakir's in. My money is that Curtis Samuel's probably in. James Cook seems like a game time decision. And Ed Oliver, I would imagine, would be out again this week, while Taryn was out of a Red Dot contract jersey this week or today on Thursday. So I'm guessing Taryn's back as well.
Dan, how does this Bills offense look without?
Hey, Gene.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Oh, see that?
Wow.
Gino, you see, he's
Wait,
he's a new man. He is. This isn't the Gene Battaglia that I've worked with here for the last, 8 years now? This is a new Gene Battaglia.
No, I've come in humble and hungry this postseason.
You're no longer Eugene Battaglia. You're new Gene Battaglia.
I wasn't going to congratulate you because I figured that's how we would start this talk. So when you didn't, I give you credit, and I will congratulate you.
Well, that's on me. He probably would have started it by talking about the Mets.
No,
I'm sorry. Eugene Battaglia would have done it. New Gene Battaglia would never. No,
I didn't. I didn't open up the show by saying, "Where's Mr. Mouth Fates? Where's Mr. Mouth Kettle?" I don't know if you ever heard that clip, but
no,
that was not a. Yeah, that was not a good year for the Mets. Dan, the Bills. Yeah, the Bills. The injuries. James Cook. We were asking about. Like, I haven't seen enough out of Davis and maybe Ty Johnson, but if you take Cook out of the equation against this Jets defense, which quite frankly I think you could run against here, Dan.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm more confident in Ty Johnson and Ray Davis behind James Cook than I am anybody behind Khalil Shakir.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's like, hey, you need Shakir or Cook to play, I need Shakir to play. That's just part of the way that I look at it because I've always kind of liked Ty Johnson, and he's had moments where I think he had a 18-yard run against the Texans. So I don't think the drop-off behind Cook is as big as the drop-off is behind Shakir and everybody else. So if you think you can run the ball on the Jets, I think you can do it with Ty Johnson. I think you can do it with Ray Davis. It'd be nice to have Cook because I think he does provide a little bit more all-around game, but I think you could piece it together if you needed to, more than we've seen what the Bills' offense is without Khalil Shakir, and I don't really want to see that again.
So let's talk a little bit about the absence of Shakir, because I think it came into full focus against the Texans, and there's been plenty of documentation this week as people break down the film as to why the offense for the Bills was sputtering the last couple of weeks. I mean, one is that Baltimore's defense is pretty physical, but the bigger thing that is in control of the Buffalo Bills is where these plays are occurring, and you're seeing more throws outside the numbers by Josh Allen, these low percentage throws downfield and outside the numbers, throws that he would make routinely when he had Diggs and Davis in the lineup, and throws that, frankly, aren't being completed with more regularity now with a drop-off in talent. Therefore, the meat for this offense, where they make hay, is between the numbers, where, of course, Khalil Shakir thrives as well, but also the usage of your tight ends. And I know that the lack of usage of Dawson Knox specifically, and Dalton Kincaid to a degree, has been a big topic of conversation this week as well.
Yeah, it's been a perfect mess of crappy chicken noodle soup. Like this is where we're at. And like, Joe Brady deserves blame. Josh Allen deserves blame. Like, he wasn't good. Like, I know it is tough to put any blame on Josh Allen. Like fans just don't want to hear it. But Josh hasn't been sharp either. And when he says that, it's not just words. Like, even his bubble screens to Curtis Samuel, they're behind him. Like, it's just not good enough. Like, Josh hasn't been good enough the last 2 weeks. Are there factors to that? Yeah, there's reasons and not necessarily excuses. Like, do I have any lack of confidence in Josh? No, but if you were somebody like myself that had concerns about these wide receivers at training camp, and we talked, I think, after the preseason heading into week one, and I was like, I don't know because we haven't seen it. Like, your concerns are amplified now. And some of that falls on Brandon Beane. And for somebody that we only get to talk to 5-6 times a year, like, it is concerning. Like, the fact that you were one injury away to Khalil Shakir gets his ankle rolled up on, and now your offense can't, have 150 yards passing, and your quarterback is 30% completion. Like, those are big concerns that guys aren't winning. They're not winning their one-on-one. And sometimes it is X's and O's guys, and coaches can scheme that up. Sometimes it's the Jimmies and the Joes, and the guys on the field have to make plays. And I don't know how I got so worked up on this, but, like, all of a sudden, like, has anybody been more disappointing this year than Dalton Kincaid? And, like, whether or not you thought the play should be challenged, which I disagree with those people, how about Dalton just catches the ball on the sidelines, and that keeps the drive going? Like, everybody was, it's fine, we don't need Diggs, we don't need number one wide receiver, we've got Dalton Kincaid. Like, where is he? Those are things where it's like everybody, I feel like, is playing one level up than they're comfortable doing. And everybody is kind of wilting right now over these last 2 weeks, trying to get their head above water and find some rhythm. And so I think Shakir being back in the lineup will help, but teams are taking away Dalton Kincaid like he's their number one wide receiver. Like, Stingley lined up across from Dalton Kincaid. Like, that goes to show you the respect, the little amount of respect that the Houston Texans had for the Bills wide receivers. Like, Stingley, and Kyle Hamilton can take out Dalton Kincaid. Like, these are guys that there's no fear right now from opposing defensive coordinators of like, oh, we can't let this guy beat us. We can't let this wide receiver beat us, because it's just not going to happen on a consistent basis. So the wide receiver play needs to be better. I don't believe that's going to be a trade deadline move, guys, but it has to be a little bit easier. By Joe Brady has to make it better. Josh has got to be better, and the wide receivers have to be better.
Yeah, Dan Fates, 13 Wham, Buffalo Plus. Dan, as we're talking, the Bills have put out their injury report. 16 players are listed on this. Now, many of them are full. Did not practice today, Shakir, Ed Oliver, also James Cook, limited. Mac Hollins with a shoulder. Taron Johnson limited. Austin Johnson limited. Listed on the injury report, Josh Allen, left hand / ankle. Okay, I didn't know anything about an ankle. He's a full participant. What I want to ask you about Josh Allen, when he banged his head off the turf, Dan, I'm like, well, okay, we move on now to the Jet game, and there he is coming back in some 6 minutes later. are the Bills actually doing their franchise quarterback a disservice by rushing him back in there? I find it hard to believe that any neurologist could just say, nah, you're fine there in that short amount of time.
So where I congratulated you, Gene, like I couldn't – how do I say this? I've been asked by multiple people. I was just doing a podcast, and somebody asked, like, do you think Josh has a head injury?
No, it's fine. You could disagree with a take here. You could be like, no. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's just that's a little like, players are like, that's over my pay grade. Like, I'm not saying the NFL hasn't fumbled head injuries, and it would be an hour-long discussion about how they don't really care about player safety, and I agree with all those things. But I was there in Baltimore where Connor McGovern was checked out for a head injury. He stayed on the field. The ref, they had to buzz down from the tower to get McGovern checked out, goes into the tunnel or the blue tent, comes back on the field. They buzz him out again during a commercial break, and he has to get checked out again. So I would like to think that the NFL has learned from their head injuries from Tua Tagovailoa and all that he's gone through, and I just don't think that they're trying to cover this up. And I know there's a bunch of conspiracies and on social media, look at how hard he hit his head and look at this and, oh no, he's got smelling salts. I'll tell you this, Josh goes through about 15 smelling salts a game because he goes out there before every single drive. If you walk on an NFL field after a game, there's probably 100 smelling salts all over the field. Like, that wasn't a sign of his concussion. And if he claims that it was a chest injury, maybe that's a smart way of saying look here and not look there, but I don't think the Bills are doing any disservice. And the fact that if there was anything more than that, I mean, he went in the blue injury tent with the independent neurologist. He went in with the guy with the red hat. And he went to go back out. Jenna was on the field. She told me, like, and she talks about it in the Buffalo Post channel, like, he went to go out, they stopped him, made him go back in, and then he got clear. So from the time that he went in, like, he did spend like 5 minutes in the blue injury tent. So this wasn't like they didn't even check him. He was checked. And so I guess sometimes I feel like people are grasping for straws at why Josh isn't playing well when it can just be Josh isn't playing well, the receivers aren't good, Joe Brady's kind of gotten away from what he does well over these last 2 weeks, and it's been a perfect cocktail, and fans are trying to say, well, he must have a concussion because he only completed 30% of his passes, when I think there's more logical
No. I mean,
reasons to
that's a second from last drive, Dan. I mean, like, it wasn't, and gosh, that last sequence, let's kind of like, I mean, where we haven't even touched on that. Monday, the world was on fire there, but you can blame McDermott, and he accepted the blame. You can certainly blame Joe Brady, but I mean,
why can't we blame Josh too?
Josh taking deep shots there is you got to call him into question.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I didn't hate the play calling. I hated Josh's decision. And in that spot, and whether that's, I mean, I would like to think that was communicated, every yard there was crucial. Every single yard. Because 5 yards there pushes them back 5 more yards for the punt. So it's a 10-yard swing. So on the second down throw to Matt Collins, Josh just seemed to focus on Mac. That was the shot that he was going to take. It's a low percentage throw. There were 2 guys underneath, Kincaid and Cook, I think, like that could have gained yards. And so you can tell Josh, like, we got to be smart here. We're going to be aggressive. Like, I think Sean McDermott was damned if he does. He's damned if he doesn't. He's roasted in the post-game press conference of, you took the ball out of 17's hands. Why not try to get a play? Like, they did it in Detroit, and he threw that great ball over the middle to Stephon Diggs, and it set up Tyler Bass for a great field goal 2 years ago. Like, the Sean is overly conservative. People crucify him for it. Yeah. And then when he does it, it's, what an idiot. It's like, I always end up feeling like I'm a Sean McDermott apologist sometimes, but it's like, the results sucked. So now we're all looking back at it going, what an idiot. But because they had the 3 timeouts, as Sean explained, because they have a good field goal kicker, I think they were damned if they do, they damned if they don't. I think they put the ball in Josh's hands and said, hey, we need a first down. Be special. That happens sometimes. That works sometimes. This time it didn't.
I want to go back to something you said earlier about the Bills at the trade deadline. You don't think that they will be getting a wide receiver here at the trade deadline, but we hear these reports that Davante Adams is being monitored by the Buffalo Bills, that they're kind of monitoring the situation, whatever that means. And I always go back to, like, all right, who's putting that out there and why are they putting that out there? That's probably not coming from the Bills. So what about Adams? What about the move to get a wide receiver, a difference maker, somebody that can elevate that receiver room from where they are right now and make you a little bit more than one-dimensional with just Khalil Shakir being the difference maker right now?
Yeah, look, I would love Devontae Adams. I think he would make everybody around him better. I think he knocks everybody down a rung on the ladder to where they're more comfortable. And I think he is a gravitational player, even at his age, that defenses would have to say, hey, can't let Devontae Adams beat us today. All right, we got to take him out, which would open up things for Kincaid. It would open up things for Shakir. It's what Stephon Diggs still did at the end of the season, even though his stats were not impressive. You still had to worry about a guy, and everybody else got to feast underneath and around Stephon Diggs. That being said, I know the trade deadline's coming up in, was it 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if Brandon Beane is ready to pull the plug and Control-Alt-Delete his plan that he had all off season of building this team as everybody eats and all of these things. I don't know if he just all of a sudden slams the screw it button, we're going to go for it. That's just my impression of you had all off season to add a guy, whether it was a Devontae Adams, other guys around, signing a free agent. They didn't. They felt content with this is what we got, this is what we're going to go with, and we're going to make it work. And I don't think because of 2 losses, they all of a sudden pull out the panic button and say, screw it, let's go get the guy. Could they get somebody maybe lesser? I've heard Deontay Johnson from Carolina. Sure. But I just don't see that being the case of Brandon Beane pretty much saying, you know, when he said, hey, it's a transition year, the cap, all these things, which I don't believe in, all of a sudden reversing course and going, yeah, this didn't work. We tried it for 5 weeks, and now we're going to go and spend money. That just doesn't seem to be a Brandon Beane way of veering off the course that they had set at the beginning of the season.
Well, let's talk about a team that did veer off the course. The opponent. My goodness, Dan. The surprise around the National Football League. Robert Saleh let go here. And I'm trying to figure out, because normally we get an instance like this. It's a team that's down and out, and they get a little bit of a bump because what? They're professionals. Heck, just look at the Chargers last year. They lose by 70 to the Raiders or whatever it was, and the next week they give the Bills a game. This feels different. This is actually a Jet team that's trying to save their season. This is like an NBA or NHL firing or a baseball firing. You don't normally see this. What kind of Jets team do we expect here Monday night?
I think they'll definitely be a little fired up. We talked to Spencer Brown about it yesterday and things like that. But I feel like there is a little bit of this myth of like interim coaches come in, the team wins the following week. I was just looking up for my bets. Like 23 coaches have been fired in the middle of the season since 2000, and the teams are like 15 and 18 the following week straight up. Like it seems to be like this. Oh, they bring in the interim guy, they all go rah rah, and then they win. And this is the earliest somebody's been fired in a few years, but 11 coaches have been fired by week 5, and those teams the following week are like 6 and 5. Coaches get fired because teams stink. Like they don't all of a sudden get brand new players and brand new schemes, and all of a sudden they miraculously play better. That's just very rare. So while I expect this to be a team that has a little bit more juice, like we saw the Chargers, ultimately the Bills won that game because the Chargers just weren't a good football team. So I don't think the firing of Robert Saleh makes the Jets pass defense or passing line, their offensive line, pass block better. I don't think it makes them run block better. They're just not very well constructed there. And I don't think their offense really changes because whoever's calling plays, and if it's Todd Downing, I was just talking to somebody and they're going, oh, do you think he could throw in, new wrinkles and things like that? I go, I think Aaron Rodgers calls the offense. And I don't think that's going to change at all. I don't think Todd Downing's going to slam his fist on the table in front of Aaron Rodgers and say, now you listen to me. We're going to run this. Aaron Rodgers is going to say, we're going to do whatever I want. And there's been 20-something years of the tape of what Aaron Rodgers' offense is. Bills have faced it before. I think that they're going to know what to expect. It's a matter of going out and stopping it. But I'm not buying into this whole total boost because they fired Robert Saleh. I think this locker room's a mess. I think that Robert Saleh has fumbled the media circus, whether it was the unexcused absence, whether it was cadence talk, whether all these things. He didn't do himself any favors about the way he handled it. I think he stepped in it more than anything else. So maybe that goes away. But I think this Jets team just is a flawed team right now. and the coach takes the fall for it. But I don't know how much firing him fixes things.
Yeah, I think Saleh's a bad football coach. I think he's a good defensive coordinator, bad NFL head coach. I think Aaron Rodgers, whether you want to believe it was through back channels or his play on the field, Aaron Rodgers got Robert Saleh fired. It was going to happen inevitably because he's not a good coach, but this just kind of sped up the process a little bit. Rodgers has been bad this season. He hasn't really played like we expect Aaron Rodgers to play. His teammates around him haven't been good, and I think when you talk about the locker room and this team, I think it is a dysfunctional organization, but I think the locker room itself is a bit of a mess because Rodgers has to be the smartest guy in the room. Rodgers isn't the guy that his teammates love. And when you see a guy during minicamp while everybody's working, going to Egypt and doing the things that he does, just being Aaron Rodgers, I have a hard time believing that his teammates want to rally around him and go out there and really, really play at a high level for him. He's not what Brett Favre was to the New York Jets when Favre was there, if we're drawing comparisons.
No, and I'll go a step farther, too. I've heard it from somebody that obviously the Jets seem to be the favorite to land Devonta Adams because of Aaron Rodgers. And from what I've heard, I'll say this, the Jets locker room would absolutely hate that because they are already so sick and tired of Aaron bringing his guys in. And so now they're going to trick – they have Garrett Wilson. Like, they have Garrett Wilson. They have Lazard, who's Rodgers' guy, who's solid. And they have Mike Williams. So now you're going to bring in another Aaron Rodgers guy because he really wants him? Like, apparently I've heard that the locker room would be even more pissed because it's Aaron getting his way, again, more than the team. Like, you have Garrett Wilson. Like, and Rodgers just doesn't like him because they're not buddies or they don't think the earth is flat. Like, I don't understand the concept of, like, why do the Jets need Devonta Adams? They need offensive line. They need other things. They don't need Devonta Adams. But he seems to be the favorite because the Jets will outbid everybody and themselves to make Rodgers happy because he's the pseudo general manager, he's the pseudo offensive coordinator, and he's the pseudo spokesperson for the team.
I'm trying to picture what the New York Jets look like in 2025. We know they need a head coach. I'd have to think the GM they might be looking for too. And, well, if you get a new coach and a new GM, do they really want to have a 42-year-old quarterback who, by the way, has a $49 million cap hit? To me, Dan, even if the Jets win the game coming up Monday night, and they very well may, I mean, long term, they're doomed here.
Yeah, they've robbed Peter to pay Paul. Like this is kind of what they've done. They've had this go all in. Aaron Rodgers is not a franchise quarterback. He is on the end of his career. He looks like he's on the end of his career. Now, granted, he could get if the Bills' defensive line doesn't get any pressure and Rodgers gets to sit back there and throw back shoulder balls to Lazard and Garrett Wilson, it could be a long day for the Bills. And the Jets could win because Josh has called MetLife a house of horrors for him and all of these things. Like, I'm not saying that, but you're right. In the long term, they are not built for success coming around for a team that, in an organization that has made the wrong move for the last 15 plus years.
Yeah, unbelievable. Dan, tell us about what you're working on this week here at BuffaloPlus.com that we can check out before kickoff on Monday night.
Yeah, we got podcasts today, the live show at 7:15 on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Then Mike and I are heading down to New York. We'll have coverage, 5 players to watch on Sunday. We'll be at the game, pregame coverage as well, and social media, all that good stuff. Earlier this week, Mike talked to Janae Coakley. She's a reporter covering the Jets on SNY. I think there's a baseball team that plays on that network too. Can't think of them. But yeah, so tons of coverage. It doesn't stop.
You do realize the Mets and the Bills play on Monday night. Maybe even the Yankees too.
Woohoo.
But
I was gonna invite you over,
Dan.
Dan,
I think Dan has absorbed some of that Eugene energy and needs a little bit more New Gene energy in his life. I think that's what's going on here.
This sucks.
Dan, thanks for the time, buddy. Talk to you next week.
You got it, guys. Go Braves.
Dan Fates. Got to go Braves in there. Dan Fates, 13 Web Sports, BuffaloPlus.com. Stopping by and sharing some thoughts on Monday night.
I've taken my medicine for years and years and years. And maybe this is the end of the line for the Mets, but It's about exceeding expectation,
Yeah,
right?
you're satiated as a fan.
Yeah.
You didn't expect them to do what they're doing. They're doing it.
They're
Enjoy the
having-
ride while you have it.
They're having fun. The fan base is having fun. Even I see you starting to come around a little bit.
I laugh every time I see Grimace. Every time I see a fan dressed as Grimace or Grimace entering a subway train and everybody losing their minds, it makes me chuckle. It really does. I mean, like, it's the kind of thing that makes a fan base fun. It makes a team fun. We were joking about it. We made fun of it through the course of the season. We're like, really? It was Grimace. It was Grimace. That was the thing that turned the season around. And if that's what you want to latch onto, that's fun. It's fine.
You just leaned into it a little bit because it wasn't coming from Met fans. It was like, look at this team. By the way, the executive producer last night's like, are you really going to do that? I'm like, I said it on the air. I'd have to do it. Like, if the Mets win the World Series, I'm coming in dressed as Grimace.
If you do an entire show dressed as Grimace, I'm going to have a hard time not laughing through the entire show. I mean, it almost – Gino, if we want to get the YouTube numbers up, I mean, that has to happen. Win or lose, it has to happen.
Oh, get your engagement.
We want a little bit more engagement on the YouTube channel. More people watch the stream if we got you dressed up as Grimace for an afternoon. That would be a lot of fun.
Come over to my house, kids, or trick or treat. Like, it's Grimace.
Well, you have to put the Mets hat on top too.
Maybe I just
pin the Mets hat on top of Grimace's dome.
Do I drive around? Are you allowed to drive around in costume?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know about that. I want to keep you safe. Alex Brasky will be Yankee fan. Alex Brasky will be stopping by from Bill's Digest, the Batavia Daily News, on the way here in about a half an hour or so. We'll also take more of your calls if you want to join us. 866-4FAN is the number. 585-866-4326. There's a quarterback in the NFL who is having a historically bad start to the season. There's rumblings and rumors of what his future might be with his team, and I'm here to say I don't want anything to change, and I'll explain why.
There was one thing that Dan and I just agreed. I want to dial into it just a little bit more when it comes to, to Josh Allen and his health here. We can explore that. And also, John Sterling, Bob Costas comparison.
Ooh.
If you're watching
the
the Yankee game last night.
Now we're talking.
This wasn't a radio call.
Now we're talking.
Like yesterday in the sports bar, Jim Riley said basically, well, if you're 50 or older, you love Costas, and we made the age line me.
I pushed it up, 55.
55.
Let's make it 55.
No. I am not a Costas fan. I'm not. Well, here's the evidence, Mike Danger, that maybe the guy has lost it.
I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Costas is the new Sterling. We'll get to that here in a second. Alex Brasky, the Batavia Daily News, Bill's Digest, stopping by 425 as well. You're in the sports bar on the Fan, Rochester.
You're listening to And in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Team players listed on the Thursday injury report for the Buffalo Bills. James Cook, Khalil Shakir, Ed Oliver not practicing today. Now, where the Bills would like to get this game against the Jets, Steve Tasker today on One Bills Live says, well, their opponent needs it a little bit more.
The Jets have to win this game. They have to. They have to win this game. Because if they don't win this game, all these changes, everything goes south on them, and all of a sudden the fans turn on them, the media turns on them, and you can light it all on fire.
Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News, and Bills Digest joins us later this hour. Yankees looking to close out the Royals tonight. Garrett Cole going up against Michael Wacha at 8 o'clock. Game 4, Tigers-Guardians coming up at 6. A win for Detroit. They go to the ALCS. We got the Sabres tonight. They open up at home against the Kings, 7 o'clock. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
I think it's going to be a one-possession game. Allen's never lost 3 straight games in a row. You got to figure they're going to play well. It really is a toss-up of a game. I wish I could give you guys a definitive answer of who's going to win. You had to make me pick it just because of Saleh getting fired. I'd probably take the Jets.
Mike Danger.
The Bills aren't playing to their strength, meaning the offense is far more efficient when they're completing passes in the middle of the field, between the numbers.
Gene Battaglia.
It's old man Aaron Rodgers. So can the Bills just win ugly here? Can they eke out a 13-10 win? And the answer to that is
Yes. But I would love for them to blow the Jets out.
Francisco Lindor, he has hit a grand slam. Put it in the books. And to the New York Mets, California, here we come. The Buffalo Sabres.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Hey, keep listening to the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia, we're glad you're with us this afternoon. We've got a couple of reasons for you to listen. I mean, besides fantastic sports talk in the Flower City, we'll have free tickets. Chance for you to win a pair of tickets to see Tom Segura come together. That's Sunday, May 25th. We're booking out to 2025, Gino. Wow. Kodak Center, May 25th, 2025. Tickets for Segura go on sale tomorrow. That's tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. You can win a free pair of tickets to see Tom Segura later on this afternoon here in the Sports Bar. And I shall also mention that next week on The Fan, Gene, I don't know if Disturbed is in your wheelhouse or not, but Disturbed is like a great metal band, right?
I saw Daughtry's opening for them.
Daughtry's opening. Yeah, a couple of special guests with Disturbed coming to KeyBank Center on Friday, April 4th. 2025. Those tickets go on sale tomorrow. I'm sorry, they go on sale next Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com. Next week, we will have tickets for you to win before you can buy for Disturbed at KeyBank Center. So just keep listening to The Fan.
Is it just me, or now do these concerts, like this feels earlier than ever? Like, hey, next year, here comes the concerts we're going to line up.
Got to give you as much advance notice as possible, and believe me when I tell you, there's a lot of strategy and planning that goes into making sure that these concerts sell out, make a lot of money. If you hear all of a sudden of an artist saying, oh, I had to cancel some dates, not feeling up to it, it might be true. It might be true. I'm not going to say it's always a lie, but a lot of times it's we can't put this show together because we're going to lose a lot of money if we continue to go on tour with the way tickets have been selling.
Somebody told me the 40-20-40 rule. Like, that's how they want to sell this. They know that 40% of the sales will happen. Hey, here you go right there, 20% and then 40 at the back end. So. But yeah, it's cool that we get to help our listeners out here giving away some tickets.
Yeah, we'll give away those Segura tickets here before 6 o'clock. So keep listening. Stay with us if you want to go see Tom Segura at the Kodak Center on May 25th, spring of 2025. It doesn't feel normal. It doesn't feel right. It feels kind of weird talking about the spring, but at the same time, we've been on the air an hour, and we haven't once mentioned that tonight is the home opener for the Buffalo Sabres. A game you'll be able to hear on the Fan Rochester, 7 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, I think things with a fan base that happen organically, they can be a lot of fun. See the Mets and Grimace, okay? That wasn't the plan. Trust me, it wasn't the plan. It was more people mocking the Mets, and the Mets win a couple games. We're just going to kind of lean into this, and all of a sudden it becomes a thing, right? where do you come down on this? Hey, we're the Sabres, hashtag Saberhood. Ugh. Look, if you're a Sabre fan, that's great. Sabre fan, probably you didn't just pick up the team now. You've stuck with it a long time.
To me, this is...
never said once Saberhood.
This is, to me, the equivalent of... This is the digital equivalent of we're running out the alternate jerseys, or we're changing it from navy blue to royal blue. It's a zero. It means nothing until you start winning some games. Now, if you want to play Mr. Rogers on the big new scoreboard that you have at KeyBank Center to hammer home this new hashtag and you start winning games, I think people would get behind it and it'd be a lot of fun. But nothing matters until you start winning games. You're not going to get anybody excited about anything around this team until you start winning some games.
Can you get excited about the new goal song tonight?
Is there a new goal song?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to be...
So not one for every player like it's been for the last,
yes.
Which I always thought was kind of silly. Like, I appreciate that Tage Thompson is a funny guy and Fishing in the Dark is his go-to goal song. And you know, what did Skinner have? Was
Party
it
in the
Party
USA?
in USA? Or Whitney Houston or whatever it is.
Like, let's make fun of it.
It's just cute, right? What's the new goal song? Tell me.
No.
Do we know?
We have to wait till the Sabres score tonight. God. Danger. Bet the Kings to get a shutout tonight, and we'll find out on Saturday.
Man. Well, Sabres hockey tonight on the Fan, Rochester, 7 o'clock, but listen anyways. Thank you.
6 minutes and 6 seconds. That was the total elapsed time it took for Josh Allen from the point where, okay, can I say it? Okay, it's my opinion. Dan Fate said, hey, got checked out. Everything's fine. I don't know. Nobody knows. But to me, it appeared that Josh Allen got knocked out. And then he goes to the blue tent, the smelling salts. Yes, other players take smelling salts too. Back on the field. 6 minutes, 6 seconds. Can you diagnose anything, particularly a concussion in that time? Even the blue tent with noise and everything else happening around. Look, what happens the next time Allen gets concussed, allegedly? That's my question here, Danger. I just want to point that out when they actually went and did the stopwatch on there. 6 minutes doesn't
I wonder if the evaluation would have been a little bit more lengthy had the Bills not gotten the turnover that they got when they got it, right? Like, it sure seemed like they rushed him out there like it was a surprise. Like, oh, my God, Trubisky's out there for a play? No, we got to get Josh back in the game. Let's go. It just felt like that because that's what we saw. And I said it on Tuesday when we were talking about this. Shame on the NFL. And what is it going to take? Is it going to take Josh taking a hit to the head and having a reaction, the fencing mechanism that you see with Tua, for us to be like, ooh, this is serious? Every player in the NFL is going through this, is going to go through this, is going to be concussed or take trauma to their head. We've seen this story time and time again. It's heartbreaking. The NFL only wants you to believe that they care about player safety, but player safety isn't really a concern of the NFL. So I'll say now what I said on Tuesday. Shame on the NFL.
Well, you're not going to get players to talk about this because they know they don't want to get their employer and they want to get their others. You don't have to go back that far, Danger. Drew Bledsoe, time with the Bills. They're playing the Giants, and he gets knocked out. And he was asked about it, after, like, what was that like? The sky, it turned yellow. And then, I don't remember much. Like, you'll never get those admissions anymore when it comes to a concussion.
Well, you hear enough stories. I mean, like, it hits close to home for me as a kid growing up and watching Walter Payton, who some would argue is the greatest football player of all time, but played a violent and physical style and certainly took plenty of hits to the head. When he retired, this hero of a human who was always gracious to fans, kind to fans, cared about his teammates, has the prestigious award named after him for everything he did while in the league. When he got done playing football, became a different person. Just became a different person. Hopped up on painkillers, suicidal, depressed, dealing with CTE. And we've seen this story time and time again from players who leave the league. I don't want to see Josh Allen at the age of 45 deal with CTE. I don't want to hear stories like we're hearing Brett Favre with Parkinson's, and as the effects of all of the damage that you're doing to your body, all the painkillers that you have to take just to manage through your day-to-day. It's sad. The NFL can do something about it. They're not going to do anything about it. They don't really care about player safety.
On to something a little more light.
Yeah,
but not if you're a fan of this particular team.
But I just saw this cross my feed today, and I got excited because there's been some chatter around the NFL, Gino, that the Browns are looking for a way to trade Deshaun Watson. Now, we're not even going to talk about the hows or the whys or the whatever because of where they are and they get what they deserve for doing what they've done. Whether it's now or in the offseason, they want to find a way to trade Deshaun Watson. He's been the worst quarterback in the league this year, and some would argue he's been the worst quarterback of all time through 5 games. Statistically, in his efficiency, he's a mess, right? It's just a bad scene around Deshaun Watson. It has been for some time now. Here's what I don't want to see happen. I don't want to see Deshaun Watson get benched because up to this point, the best pass defense that the Browns have faced are the terrible Vegas Raiders. He's actually going to face much stiffer competition from opposing defenses this season. And if you think he looks bad against the worst pass defenses in the league, oh boy, we want greatness here in the Sports Bar, Gina. We talk about this all the time. If you're a Browns fan, you're in a safe space here. Join us. Join us in rooting for Watson to have the worst NFL season by a starting quarterback in the history of the game. He's become the football equivalent to the 2024 White Sox. This is what we want to see happen.
So through 5 games, and I think every Browns fan recognizes this, and I'm watching the Browns-Giants game, I'm like, why don't they put Jameis Winston in? Like, it doesn't mean that he's losing his job per se, but sometimes you just need the change up there. We're trying to win football games. But in Cleveland, it just seems like you're trying to save face with the contract. Remember, it wasn't the head coach. It wasn't the GM. It wasn't the team president. It was the owner who cut this deal and said, here, make this
I feel bad for Kevin Stefanski. All reports on Kevin Stefanski is he's a good guy. He's a good coach. Like, none of this is his fault.
He's a coach of the year twice.
Yeah, none of this is his fault. And I feel really bad for him that he's forced to kind of stay with this guy when he knows, Jameis gives them the better chance to win. Doesn't matter. We're now rooting for Watson to be spectacularly horrible the rest of the season. Stick with him. Don't trade him. Don't make sure protect him. Make sure he has that offensive line is still a good offensive line. Protect him. Make sure he doesn't get injured. And watch him continuously fall on his face week in and week out as the competition stiffens through the course of this season. I want him to have historically the worst season in the NFL. I want it to be historically bad.
So Browns fans, that's how you should look.
That's exactly
root
right.
for greatness.
Root for greatness. We don't want him to have a good game. We want him to be terrible the rest of this season. That's if you're a Browns fan, I think that's how you cope with this failure of a season. Your team is hot garbage, and he's the center of the heaping pile. So let's go ahead and rally around your horrible quarterback and hope that he can be the football equivalent of the 2024 White Sox. Just the worst ever.
Coming up, we will talk more Bills football with Alex Brasky. He's a big Yankee fan. He's texted me last night. I don't know if I'm going to come on if the Yankees blow this. Well, Alex, they didn't blow it. You're coming on here in a little bit to talk some Bills football. But any Yankee fan watching this last night, it's not a Yankee take. Okay, it's an extension of the take that I had yesterday. That I cannot stand Bob Costas. Why is this guy still employed? Look, in 1980, this is how baseball was called, particularly on the radio. But now, you're just kind of like a quarterback, a distributor. You've got a great color guy, maybe the best in the business in Ron Darling. You've got graphics and replays and everything else. You should be paying attention to the action. And for John Sterling, who's in his 80s, on the radio, who, okay, the ball's near the wall and it's way out there. Maybe he doesn't get a good angle.
Yeah.
I can almost understand John Sterling repeatedly at that age kind of messing things up. Costas messing up last night. I mean, I'm sorry. This is just going to feed. It's supporting my argument here.
Sterling was calling a game against the Toronto Blue Jays this was the botched home run call.
Pitch, 1-2. Swung on in the air to right. Back goes Stanton on the track at the wall, leaping, and she is gone. It is a home run. They're all waiting. And why are they waiting?
Because Stanton caught the ball.
And coming off the field is Chapman. Stanton never threw the ball back in. Oh, Stanton just robbed Chapman of a home run. Wow. What a play by Stanton.
So that was the botched call against the Blue Jays from just a treasure of a human being, John Sterling. This was last night.
How do I balance that? Just
nope,
making
that's
sure.
the wrong one. This is last night.
Line drive, base hit to center field. It was smothered out there. I don't know if it was caught.
It was caught.
Oh, my gosh. What a play.
Wait, line drive, base hit to center field. The infielder is right there to catch the ball. It wasn't smothered.
It was a nice play.
It was a nice play.
But
maybe
the
off
similarities
bat,
between the botched Costas call and the botched Sterling call are eerie. Their reactions are both the same, and they both have somebody next to them that's kind of like, hey, how'd you miss that? Come on.
Caught the ball.
Caught the ball. Listen to them again side by side. This is a better version of the Sterling botched home run call.
Pitch, 1-2. Swung on in the air to right. Back goes Stanton on the track at the wall, leaping, and she is gone. It is a home run.
No.
They're all waiting. And why are they waiting?
Because Stanton caught the ball.
Coming off the field is Chapman. Stanton never threw the ball back in.
Wow.
Oh, Stanton just robbed Chapman of a home run. Wow. What a play by Stanton.
So you got Susan there in the background basically trying to whisper to him, he caught the ball. Oh, no, he caught the ball. And then she finally just has had it. It's like, it's because he caught the ball, John. Listen to the Costas call from last night. It's eerily similar.
Line drive, base hit to center field. It was smothered out there. I don't know if it was caught.
It was caught.
Oh, my gosh. What a play.
Wow.
What? Oh, my gosh. What a play.
It was caught, Bob. Just an all-timer. Fantastic call by Bob Costas. Way to go.
We root for greatness, right?
We do.
Yeah, tonight, 8:08. Now I'm like, okay, come on, Bob, give us more.
Oh, you know what? If you give him the opportunity, he'll probably take 30 to 40 seconds just to try to explain why he botched that call or how he botched that
He's
call.
going to, like, rather than the Royals turn to good double play.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Giancarlo Stanton cannot run.
Yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about. I mean, this is just mountains and mountains of evidence against Bob Costas just not having a good series here between the Yankees and the Royals. The botched call, just the chef's kiss.
I want to make this clear. It's not ageism. It's your skills aren't what they were. There's a difference.
I just think, well, with Costas, he can call a game, but the guy's act wore thin on me when he was still doing NFL stuff. Like, I don't like the sanctimonious guy that has what he reminds me of, like Aaron Rodgers, a guy that has to be the smartest guy in the room. He's a name dropper, and we got so many like sound bites of Costas just kind of not being a likable guy.
Lives in his own world and people telling him yes.
Right. All right, let's get to Alex Brasky, the Batavia Daily News, Bills Digest. More on Bills Jets coming up Monday night here on The Fan. Rochester, you can join us at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
Sports Update.
Bills Thursday practice. James Cook, Khalil Shakir, and Oliver amongst the players not practicing today, and all 16 players on that injury report. Daquan Jones talking about that Jet offense.
They have Aaron Rodgers back there, so, I mean, they're a good football team. The defense play hard. They fly around. So it's definitely a team that we can't take for granted based off their record and how they've been playing.
Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News, and Bills Digest joining us next here in the Sports Bar. The New York Yankees looking to close things out tonight in Kansas City. Garrett Cole going up against Michael Wacha, 8:08 p.m. for the first pitch. Game 4, Tigers-Guardians coming up at 6:08. A win for Detroit, and they go to the ALCS. It's the home opener for the Buffalo Sabres taking on the LA Kings. Coverage begins at 7 right here on the Sports Leader. Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
There's no out of New York as well here in the last 24 hours. The Jets passing game coordinator Todd Downing is going to be calling the offensive plays for the Jets starting Monday night moving forward after Nathaniel Hackett had that responsibility stripped away. So that's the word from interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich, who made the announcement today at the media session.
Can you, I think Tasker has a great point. We're trying to, Alex Brasky's in a bad spot with the phone, so we're going to get him on here in a couple minutes. But I think we used this in the last sports report at 4 p.m. Steve Tasker on why the Jets really need this one.
The Jets have to win this game. They have to. They have to win this game. Because if they don't win this game, all these changes, everything goes south on them, and all of a sudden the fans turn on them, the media turns on them, and you can light it all on fire.
It would be 3 losses in a row. We're talking about 3 losses in a row for the Bills, but you lose to Denver. You lose in London to the Vikings. And then after you fire your head coach and you demote your offensive coordinator, yes, he's still the offensive coordinator, but when you're not calling plays, are you really? Who's got more power there? Are you agreeing with that take or no?
I think the Jets are the more desperate team. I do agree with that take. I don't necessarily think that because they're the more desperate team that they're going to win. You could say that they have to win. Yeah, there's a lot riding on this game. You want to make sure that as an organization, you look competent and the moves that you've made are justified. And I think everybody views it right now as these moves are justified. Saleh wasn't a good head coach. You brought in Nathaniel Hackett, though. You did bring in a guy who was fired as a head coach with 2 games left in the season when he was in Denver just because he has a relationship with Aaron Rodgers. And right now, that offense, 25th in points scored, 27th in total yards. They are last in the league in rushing yards per game as well. I mean, this is Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers at this stage of their careers, respectively. So you make this change, and you hope that this change lights a fire, whether you're talking about the elimination of Saleh or the promotion of Jets passing game coordinator Todd Downing now to be the offensive play caller. I don't think any of it matters because I think this team recognizes what they're in, what they're doing. They're in the middle of hell. Their coaches are being shuffled around the deck. It's like shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic. And so it starts with the quarterback. And it starts with Aaron Rodgers. It starts with a guy who isn't very likable, whose teammates probably don't like. Has to bring guys in from the outside who get him, who have a relationship with him, because nobody's going to like the guy who comes in on day one and has to be the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, like how does that work with Devontae Adams when you have the alpha Garrett Wilson that for whatever reason you're not getting
Garrett
him
Wilson's
the ball?
So good. He's so good. He's such a good player, and this season is being wasted on him. But we've seen this with this organization time and time again. So I hear what Tasker is saying, that they have to win this game. They're going to be the more desperate team on Monday. I don't necessarily think that means that they're going to win the game because they're not a good team. They have to win, yes, but they're not good.
But I think his point is, imagine the world where they don't win. We welcome in Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News, and Bills Digest. Well, I mean, look, Alex, there's been injuries. There's been questions. The Bills, they're not in a good spot losing 2 in a row. But, Alex, at least they're not the New York Jets.
Absolutely. Sorry I'm late, guys. Had some phone issues. Thank you for bearing with me. But, yes, at least the Bills are not going through a coaching change, a play calling change, their 40-year-old quarterback dealing with injuries. Yeah, things could certainly be worse for Bills fans entering this game.
So what do you think of that take from Tasker that the Jets have to win this game, that they'll come in as the more desperate team? Does that really factor into the outcome overall when you look at these two teams side by side and know that one is just tumultuous and the other, while they're going through an adversity right now, is still more put together and more prepared for what lies ahead?
Yeah, I would say that the Jets, if they have any hope of challenging the Bills for the division, they most certainly have to win this game. Now, it is nowhere near a must-win for the Bills, but it's certainly a big game for the Bills and much bigger than you thought it would be after the 3-0 start. It seemed as if they were going to run away with the division, but now one loss away from being tied in the division with the New York Jets. So this is as big of a game as it is for the Jets. It is for the Bills in this one, but obviously with everything the Jets are going through, they're looking to stem the tide and stop the bleeding. So in order to stop the rumors from swirling, the controversies from brewing, and the displeasure amongst the fan base, I think this is a critical week for the Jets. And maybe not to win the game, but you can't go in there and get blown out by the Bills, or else people are going to really start coming with their pitchforks and torches to MetLife Stadium.
Alex Brask, our guest, Bills Digest, Batavia Daily News. The Bills, let's start with the injuries here, Alex. Not practicing again today. Shakir, Oliver, James Cook with the toe injury. If that's turf toe, how confident are you if it ends up being Ty Johnson and Ray Davis? And could we see somebody promoted from the practice squad? Might that be Evans, perhaps? Or could we see perhaps Frank Gore?
Yeah, I think my money would be on Evans. Maybe he's not set to come back. If he is healthy enough, I think that they would much rather go with Evans, the veteran experience. He's been around the Bills the past couple of years, but there is some uncertainty whether or not he is ready to return from that stint on IR. He does have 21 days to do so. So I would stray towards Evans. Obviously, if he's not healthy enough, then the next option is Gore. But I don't have a lot of confidence in James Cook playing this weekend. Did not practice for the second straight day with that foot and toe injury. Hit it pretty hard on the turf during that Texans game. And the Bills like to take things slow with injuries. You saw it with Khalil Shakir. They sat him out last week, another player that I'm not sure will even play this week. But at the running back position, knowing how much you need to cut and change in direction, and knowing how a foot-toe injury could linger throughout the course of the season, and knowing how much James Cook has meant to this offense, I think they're going to go the safe route this weekend and go elsewhere at the running back position. And I think it's going to start with Ty Johnson. He's averaged over 4 yards per carry this season. Ray Davis has been a relative disappointment in limited work, averaging about 2.5 to 3 yards per carry. Ray Davis didn't record a single carry against the Houston Texans. So I think if you're looking who's going to be the next man up in that room, it's going to be Ty Johnson in terms of workload. Now, I'm not sure if they'll change his role. Maybe they're suited in what his role is that secondary back, and maybe Ray Davis gets the start and works as more of the out-of-the-backfield runner. But I think when it comes down to the production and the touches at the end of the game on Monday, if James Cook is to miss, I think you're going to see Ty Johnson as kind of the bell cow in that situation. And then obviously, like I said, off the practice squad, I would think Evans, but if he's not quite ready, then Gore as your next option.
So, Alex, let's go back to Shakir for a second, because I think we saw on display on Sunday just how important he is to this Bills offense running efficiently, at peak efficiency. And there's been plenty shared this week about Josh Allen throwing outside the numbers versus throwing inside the numbers. We know that defenses are keying on Dalton Kincaid and taking that weapon away from Josh Allen. So not having a Khalil Shakir to lean on between the numbers is detrimental to this team. Do you see him making a return? I mean, I don't think he practiced again today. Correct me if I'm wrong. And boy, I mean, again, who steps up in that role? Because we haven't really seen it from anybody else.
Yeah, he did not practice today. It looked like he did a little bit more work with athletic trainers today than he did on Wednesday. He worked with those ATs both days, but today I saw him alongside head athletic trainer Nate Bresky kind of testing his ankle on his release from the line of scrimmage. They brought Mike White over briefly before positional drills really kicked up, and he threw a couple of passes to Shakir, just kind of, like I said, going through that release off the line of scrimmage, at least trying to push toward a return this weekend. So that's certainly a more positive sign than any sign he showed last week leading into the game. So I wouldn't rule him out by any means, but without him practicing for a second straight day, it certainly is becoming more and more doubtful as the week goes. Now, one difference with this week, with them playing on Monday, they had the day off Friday, or at least day off from media viewing on Friday, and they get back together on Saturday. So maybe taking it slow with Shakir, and we do see him suit up, but I wouldn't put my hopes on that at this point. In terms of who the Bills need to step up in the passing game, it's Dalton Kincaid. I've heard so much about added gravity from the opposing defenses pushed his way, and he's seeing extra defenders. Yeah, that's what great players in this league see. And beginning this season, the hype around Kincaid was, oh, he's going to have 100 catches. He's going to have over 1,000 yards. Yeah, well, you don't have over 100 catches and over 1,000 yards by not fighting through double teams, by not winning your one-on-one battles down the field. And so far, Kincaid has not succeeded in that regard. You need to see more from what was supposed to be the centerpiece of your passing offense. He's dropped a couple balls as well. He's found himself open on a couple of routes, albeit Allen did miss him down the seam against the Texans, and that seems to be what everybody's talking about. But how about the two balls that he dropped against the Texans, the ball that he dropped against the Ravens? So this was supposed to be a sure-handed, high-potential player, and I haven't seen the sure hands this year, and I have certainly not seen him realize that potential that everybody was talking about this offseason. Really disappointed with what Kincaid has been able to offer this offense, and I think it's got to start this week. He's got to find a way to get himself involved, and I'm not sure it's all his fault. Maybe Joe Brady needs to do a better job. Maybe Josh Allen not finding him when he's open. But Dalton Kincaid, if you're going to be a great tight end in this league, you have to find a way to get open and catch the football. It starts this week.
Yeah, we're talking to Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News, Bills Digest. I want to ask you about the other tight end, because $8.7 million for the base this year for Dawson Knox. And when we knew the Bills were in cap jail and they had to make some tough decisions this offseason, Knox's name came up. Okay, well, he stays, and obviously the Bills think they're going to have some sort of role for him. I'm sorry, 3 catches in 5 games, and he can block, but he's not the best blocker on this team. Is that not part of the solution here, perhaps? Because we've been fed this diet that, boy, if the Bills go 12 personnel, they're going to be really tough to defend. Alex, I've yet to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably one of, if not the worst contract that Brandon Beane has signed over the past many years. There have been a couple other candidates in the running for that title as well. The Stephon Diggs contract, the Tre'Davious White contract, the Tyler Bass contract. I think I might be missing a couple here. But, yeah, Dawson Knox, coming into the season, I was really high on what he'd be able to produce, particularly with all that attention being paid Kincaid's way. But at the same time, I said it on right here, right now, live Buffalo Football Talk with my co-host A.J. Cebulski after the game against the Ravens. It's always hard to be disappointed in what you're getting from Dawson Knox, because it's tough to decipher what they're asking from him. You mentioned the blocking acumen that he has, and they really use him in that way a lot. I'm not sure they're asking him to go out there and be the pass catcher that maybe he's shown the potential to be in the past, and maybe fans want him to be this year. So it's always tough for me to kind of gauge the disappointment level you should have in Dawson Knox. But certainly when he's making that kind of money, the production that he's giving you as a secondary tight end, it's just not giving you the value that you thought you were going to get from that contract. I think that goes without being said. And something's got to give within this passing game, whether it's Kincaid, whether it's Knox, whether it's Mack. Somebody needs to step to the forefront, and there's so many names that people are clamoring for to do so. It really needs to start soon. Because it's getting late early for this Bills passing game.
All right, Alex, let's talk a little bit about their opponent on Monday night, because we started the beginning of the conversation saying if you think it's bad in Buffalo, it's It's worse if you're the Jets. At least you're not the Jets. New head coach, or interim head coach, I should say, in Jeff Ulbrich, and now Nathaniel Hackett no longer has the play calling, which, yeah, it was probably like good for the Jets and bad for opponents moving forward with Todd Downing now calling the plays. But everything for me around the Jets centers around Aaron Rodgers, who hasn't been good this year, who by all accounts is a hard teammate to get along with unless you have a pre-existing relationship with him. I know that we started this conversation by saying this is a game that the Jets have to win, but ultimately, can they? Because they just aren't a good football team right now.
No, they're not. And it's not only are they not a good football team, their quarterback is not good right now. If you watch that game against the Minnesota Vikings, the amount of throws that Aaron Rodgers missed in that game, I'm not sure he missed that many throws in a game his entire career. And he also threw, I think, what was the 5th pick six of his career in that game. So that just goes to show you how things are going for the Jets, and particularly Aaron Rodgers, who really can't move out there very well either. He injured the ankle in that game. You saw him crawling around on the field. He was able to finish the game, and he's on the injury report this week with that ankle injury. So it's going to be interesting to see what he has to provide this weekend against the Bills. And just with that offense as a whole has to provide. They have not been able to run the ball. The offensive line was a question mark coming into the season, and their run blocking has just been atrocious. Breece Hall off to a poor start to the season, and they draft a rookie, Braylon Allen, and he's had his moments, but no consistency in the running game. Rodgers with perhaps the poorest performance of his career in this last game. So things certainly trending in a bad direction for the Jets. The one thing that they can hang their hat on is that defense. That defense performed really, really well against the Vikings, a team that came into that game really blowing away opposing defenses. And the Jets struggled a bit out of the gate, but it seems like they've gotten things under control on the defensive side of the ball, and that's where they've given the Bills fits over the years. So if they can get things going on defense, that's going to give them a chance. But the question is, what do they have to offer on offense? It seemed like all they could get going against the Vikings was force-feeding the ball to Garrett Wilson. So there's no way that the Bills are going to allow the Jets to do that with Christian Benford and Rasul Douglas playing as two of the best cornerbacks in the league, and just a way that Sean McDermott can take away an opposing team's best player. So you're going to have to find other options if you're the Jets than Wilson, and I'm just not sure they really have them right now, and I'm not sure Rodgers can do enough to elevate them either. But at the same time, I tweeted it out this morning, the Bills will play the Jets with New York enduring a coaching change, a change in offensive play callers, and multiple injuries to its 40-year-old QB. The Bills can't lose this game, guys, can they?
It's the NFL.
Or can they?
They can. I'm sure they could, Alex. Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News, Bills Digest. I think one thing that's going to help the Bills out, too, and you mentioned the corners, and Christian Benford has been exquisite this year. But it wasn't those guys that they were going after in Houston. It was the safeties. And Cole Bishop, get your thoughts on this. And I don't want to say I'm giving him a pass, but I understand it's a tough position, and those were some tough lessons. And we'll see if he learns them. I don't know if he's going to get that chance anytime soon. Taylor Rapp coming back this week. How much should that help out, Alex?
Huge. If you look back at the Texans game, I mean, a game that you lose on a 59-yard field goal at the buzzer, and you look back at the 67-yard bomb that the Texans scored in the first half. That was all due to Cole Bishop not fulfilling his responsibility. And like you said, it's tough to blame the rookie. And especially from my perspective, I didn't think he was ready for that opportunity. Watching him in the games that he played previously, knowing how much time he missed during the preseason, I did not think Cole Bishop was ready for that opportunity, particularly going up against a team with C.J. Stroud and the pass catchers that they have. Now, I can understand why the Bills maybe did it, some forward thinking. You knew that you would probably get Taylor Rapp back in a week's time, and that did turn out to be the case. And maybe you want to get Bishop out there, get his feet wet early in his career, and maybe give him some tape to dissect and some things to think about as he moves forward as the safety of the future. But at the same time, that was a critical matchup against a conference foe. I'm just not sure it was the right decision putting a rookie out there in a situation that he just simply wasn't prepared for. So to answer your question, getting Taylor Rapp back this week, I think it's a huge boost for this team. It's not like he's at an all-pro level, but he has been the quarterback for the back of that defense early on in the season, and his experience in the system and just his overall veteran mentality, I think, brings a lot to this defense. And I think he's the best that they have to offer at that position. Damar Hamlin is a serviceable player in what you ask him to do, but he's never going to reach all pro level, in my opinion. I think he's just somebody that fulfills his responsibility and is solid back there. Taylor Rapp has the potential to make plays and is also a solid player in the back. So I think his influx in this defense this week could be a big deal.
Okay, quickly, knowing that Ed Oliver didn't practice today and that he's probably not going to make it on the field Monday night, do we have faith in the defensive line up front there to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers? Tell me about what you saw to Dwayne Carter in that Houston game.
Yeah, great game for Dwayne Carter, 2 tackles for loss. He just plays with great energy and great confidence. You cannot tell that he's a rookie. I know that everybody said that during his rookie availability right when he was drafted, but as the season goes, he is just boisterous out there. And a lot of times with rookies, you see them kind of second-guessing themselves in terms of their energy, in terms of celebrations. That is not the case with Dwayne Carter. He seems to fit right in, not only with his energy and his mentality, but also with his play. He produced very, very well in that game, playing about 50% of the snaps alongside Daquan Jones, who I also thought upped his game against the Texans. 6 tackles against the Texans, and he was really chasing opposing players down sideline to sideline, and a good rebound for him. He didn't record a single tackle against the Baltimore Ravens. So I think Jones is starting to get back in the swing of things. You remember he had that injury last year that he didn't finish the season very strong. So maybe still some, maybe not ill effects, but just as a pro athlete does, you kind of find your footing at a certain time, and maybe that time now coming back from the injury, maybe that time is now for Daquan Jones. Elsewhere on the defensive line, need more from the edge rushers. Greg Rousseau had, I think, 5 or 6 pressures against the Texans, but didn't record a sack. I'm a big proponent on sacks mean more than a lot of these new age stat gurus like to tell you. They tell you pressures are everything. Sacking the quarterback is a part of impacting the quarterback. A pressure, while good, getting the quarterback on the ground, I think, brings an entirely different level to that impact, and just not enough from Rousseau in that regard since that opening game. And A.J. Epinesa, I haven't seen enough from him. I think he really needs to light a fire under his you-know-what. He needs to get going for this team. They need to bring more pressure, and I think that can help the rest of the defense that has been pretty strong through the first 5 weeks. They had a rough start against the Texans, but really settled in. So I think there are a few minor tweaks. This defense could really become dominant.
Alex, I want to read a text I got last night. It was from you. If the Yankees lose, I don't know if I can face the music tomorrow with the Mets already finishing their series. Feel a cough coming on.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
Alex, come on now. Fear does not exist in this dojo. Defeat does not exist in this dojo. You can't come in here yellow. You can't come in here, you need to take a stand, man. Take a stand.
The one thing in this world, Danger, that really, really impacts me is the Mets winning. I can get over illness. I can get over personal tragedy. I can get over financial. The one thing in this life that really brings me down is when the Mets win.
Wow.
As a Yankee fan of the late 90s and the early 2000s, Subway Series kid, I hate the New York Mets. And if I were to have to come on here, and Gene is a great man, he is not one to gloat, but if I were to have to come on here,
Hi, have you met Gene before?
that was a little tongue in cheek.
Actually, Alex, the thing that we've been saying all day today is that Eugene is no more. This is New Gene. New Gene is gracious. He's riding high. He's not grumpy or grouchy. I don't know who this guy is across from me anymore.
And this is one of the reasons why I hate the Mets, Danger. Mets fans are the absolute worst. The only thing worse than a Mets fan is a Jets fan.
Wow.
Your hate should be the Red Sox, I would think, Alex. To me, beating the Phillies was phenomenal. If you beat beating the Braves, which I count as a playoff game, to get into the postseason, and the Phillies, that's fantastic. I don't have this hatred to the Yankees. Michael Kay is full of it. Why don't we hate the Mets more? Why? You're going back to the World Series, what, year 2000, 25 years ago,
Man.
Alex?
Listen, Gene, I have an older brother and a younger brother. I'm a middle child, so I see both sides of this. When my older brother does well, not that I resent him, I still root for my older brother, but there's a little bit of that little brother syndrome coming in. So now when I see my younger brother do well, I root for him in every regard. There's no resentment. For me, it's a total opposite. As the Yankees the big brother to the Mets, when my younger brother does well, I can't stand it.
Well, this is going to be an interesting few weeks, Alex. I hope we get you back on with us here.
Let's get you on again here, Alex. Unless, wait a second. Oh no, they're trailing in the ALCS to Detroit 3-1.
Yeah,
I can't. Come on.
Your
I'm
first
not feeling
mistake was
well.
admitting that to Gene. That now you know he's not going to let that go. Although we are talking about new Gene, so maybe new Gene can turn over a leaf here and let that go and forget that text was ever sent last night, Alex.
Listen, if there's one thing I am, it's transparent. And watching the Yankees tied 2-2 with the freaking Kansas City Royals in the 8th inning, all I could think about was having to listen to Gene's joy about the Mets and just thinking about how the Yankees were one game away from elimination. I was going to do it. I was going to put myself through it, but I was considering faking a cough to get out of it.
When's the next pod with you and AJ? They're right here, right now show.
We'll have one on Sunday. You can also listen back to the one we recorded just before I got on with you guys. It's available on all your audio platforms. It'll be on YouTube a little bit later. It's also on Twitter. Also, all of our work on the dailynewsonline.com and Bill's Digest coming out in early November.
Thank you, Alex. Go Mets.
Thank you, Gene. Let's go Yankees, and let's go Dodgers or Padres.
This is going to be fun, man. I appreciate it, Alex. This is going to be fun. I like this.
Wow. Let's go Dodgers or Padres.
I'm rooting for a Subway Series now. I want to see this.
As you should.
I want to see this play out.
As you should.
I want war. I want blood in the streets. Let's go.
All of a sudden, all the Yankee fans, the Rotolos of the world, they're all going to be out in full force saying, oh, we are the little brother. Really? Do you understand New York baseball history? Yes or no? Oh, okay, yeah. You don't. Okay. Yeah.
New Gene, not Eugene. New Gene. You don't have to bring that up, New Gene. Everybody knows it's okay. New Gene turns the other cheek. Appreciate Brasky stopping by. We appreciate Dan Fates making an appearance last hour as well. Plenty of Bills talk to digest. We'll get to that next with Happy Hour on the Fan Rochester. We'll let you know who's in and who's not for practice today, and what that lineup might look like come Monday night will be abbreviated for you Monday afternoon, 1 hour before we get to kickoff at pregame at 4 o'clock, kickoff at 8:15 Monday night from the Meadowlands. Before we get to break, let's give away some free tickets to see comedian Tom Segura, the Come Together Tour. That's coming Sunday, May 25th. 2025 to Kodak Center. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. Ticketmaster.com. You can win a free pair to see Tom Segura right now if you caller 5 at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326 for a free pair of tickets to see Tom Segura at Kodak Center in May of 25. Call now and good luck from the Fan.
You're listening
Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Injuries continue to be the main storyline coming out of Buffalo. 16 players listed on the Thursday report. James Cook, Khalil Shakir, and Oliver not practicing once again today. Where the Bills need this game, Steve Tasker today on One Bills Live says, well, Jets need a little more.
The Jets have to win this game. They have to. They have to win this game. Because if they don't win this game, all these changes, everything goes south on them, and all of a sudden the fans turn on them, the media turns on them, and you can light it all on fire.
Bills and Jets, our coverage Monday will begin at 4 o'clock. The Yankees tonight looking to close out Kansas City. Garrett Cole going up against Michael Wacha. 8:08 for the first pitch. Game 4 of Tigers Guardians at 6:08. A win for Detroit. They go to the ALCS. Oh, we've got the Sabres tonight. They take on the Kings. Our coverage will begin at 7 o'clock. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader. The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
I think it's going to be a one-possession game. Allen's never lost 3 straight games in a row. You got to figure they're going to play well. It really is a toss-up of a game. I wish I could give you guys a definitive answer of who's going to win. You had to make me pick it just because of Saleh getting fired. I'd probably take the Jets.
Mike Danger.
The Bills aren't playing to their strength, meaning the offense is far more efficient when they're completing passes in the middle of the field, between the numbers.
Gene Battaglia.
It's old man Aaron Rodgers. So can the Bills just win ugly here? Can they eke out a 13-10 win? And the answer to that is
yes. But I would love for them to blow the Jets out.
Francisco Lindor, he has hit a grand slam. Put it in the books. And to the New York Mets, California, here we come. The Buffalo Sabres!
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Happy hour in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, glad you're with us. Thanks for listening locally at 95.7 FM, AM 950, wherever you are, in the free-to-download Odyssey app or your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. And on our stream, you can watch the sports bar, our YouTube channel, The Fan Rochester, streaming on Twitch as well. Always appreciate when you stop by there. Give us a like, a subscribe. Don't forget to tell a friend and keep some wind in the sails of our pirate ship as we get ready for a round of shots and your calls at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326. Been saying it all afternoon. I don't really know who this man across from me is. It's my new co-host. It's not Eugene anymore. It's New Gene. New Gene Battaglia. Welcome to the Sports Bar. I'm Mike Danger. You are a changed man after last night.
I am happy. I'm in this abusive relationship with this team, the New York Mets, and I'll say this again. Okay, maybe they got swept by the Dodgers or Padres. Honestly, I don't know how that series is going to go.
I am happy. I'm happy for you, pal.
It's not good radio, right? When the Mets win like this?
It's fine.
I appreciate everybody reaching out to me last night. And I want to point out once again, one of the first texts I got, congratulations, you were the better team. Mike Catalana, Philly fan. We had Dan Fates on today.
I would love to know if Catalana believes what I believe, which when you compare these two teams, the Phillies and the Mets, and you see one $300 million shortstop versus another $300 million shortstop, how much blame assessment is happening in Philadelphia and how much ire is being pointed in the direction of Trey Turner, who kind of was meanwhile, Lindor is a superhero, should be the MVP. That's what a $300 million shortstop should be to your team.
Well, I don't like the way quite honestly, the Phillies are constructed. I mean, it's great when the long ball is connecting, but Kyle Schwarber really isn't a leadoff hitter. Not when you're not getting on base like the way he is, and when the managers just kind of set in his ways and shake up the lineup there just a little bit. Boy, this next round's going to be great. I was kind of disappointed Dodgers-Padres last night, to be honest, Andrew. Like, I'm going to sit down and watch this. Oh, and the Dodger bullpen was fantastic, so that'll go to a Game 5 tomorrow night. Game 1 of the NLCS, Sunday night, going against Sunday Night Football. Game 2, Monday, 1 o'clock Pacific time, which is 4 o'clock our time.
Oh.
Monday, if the Yankees get to the ALCS, you will have the Yankees going up against the Bills-Jets game. And the Mets finishing up right around when that will be kicking off.
Right. So Monday afternoon into Monday night is kind of like sports nirvana if you're a Yankees, Mets, or Bills fan.
It's a good thing we're doing only the heavy lift show on Monday.
The heavy
Bills
lift. 1 hour on Monday as we lead you up to a Bills pregame at 4 o'clock Monday afternoon. We should mention while we have a second, and we're talking about the future here. Tomorrow, 3:25, we'll check in with Andy Behrens from Yahoo Fantasy as we do every Friday to set your lineup for Week 6 in fantasy football. And our buddy, it's been a week with the New York Jets. They are the Bills' opponent on Monday night after all. Dan Leberfeld of Jets Confidential will try and make sense of everything that's going on there.
I want to know, did Dan know this was coming? Because usually when it's Jets week, we can get him on Wednesday or Thursday, and he was like, hey, I'm going to be tied up those days. Can we do it Friday?
There's a lot to report on, man.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot to report on. You have the firing on Tuesday. You have Rodgers speaking on McAfee yesterday. You have the news today that Nathaniel Hackett has had his responsibilities of play calling on the offensive side of the ball stripped away from the team. So it'll be Jets passing game coordinator Todd Downing now calling plays for the Jets. That was announced by interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich in his media session today. This is a messy situation that the Jets find themselves in. And I agree with what Tasker said, that the Jets have to win. I know that they have to win, but it doesn't mean they're going to win. They're not a good team right now.
No. This is like the season's, I think what he's saying essentially is, you have all November, December still to play here, and 1 week in October. Season's over for them.
This is the more desperate of the two teams.
Yeah, in fact, I would also add on to this. Name me a time by performance that you fired a head coach and the replacement led you to great places. Oh, gee, the Raiders. No, that wasn't a football decision. I'm going to put that in an exclusive category of Bisaccia. You've had other interim coach. I'm still waiting for that example. What the Jets are doing here is so unusual, highly unusual. And the best part of this, where you sit from a Bills fan, hey, maybe Monday night doesn't go your way. How does this end for the Jets this season? Is it true that Mike Clay, hey, you're going to win the Super Bowl? If that's the case, good for them. Anything short of that, a 42-year-old quarterback next year, you need a new head coach. You likely will need a new GM. You're starting over. Who's your quarterback in 2025, much less 2026? This is just fantastic. And sure, this may be the move that gets you the win over the Buffalo Bills. Yay. Ultimately, where's it going to get you?
Well, for all the talk of how good the Jets' defense is, and they've been playing well, we haven't talked a lot about how the Bills' defense actually stiffened up in that Houston game. They looked pretty good. Bernard making plays. Dorian Williams was nice. We love the play of Rasul Douglas.
I'm glad you brought up Carter, too.
Christian Benford. Carter had a nice game. The rookie is making plays in Ed Oliver's absence. New York, to speak to how bad they've been offensively, they're 25th in points scored in the league, 27th in total yards. They are dead last in rushing yards as well. So if the Bills' defense gets gashed by this Jets run game, and we know that there's a problem when we're talking about big physical backs. We saw what Derrick Henry did. We saw James Conner in week 1 kind of have his way early in that game. You can't let Breece Hall get over on you on Monday night. This is a team that is last in rushing yards in the NFL. This is not a good Jets team, and I know that the Jets have to win this game, but I just don't think they can win this game. I think the Bills are still just such a better team side by side.
Side by side, and then that side of the ball. And I think having Bernard back, you get Taron Johnson back. Okay, now things are starting to come into clear.
Rapp is back.
Rapp is back. Now I just still keep coming back to, oh my gosh, what does this offense look like when the two guys, and we were joined earlier by Alex Brasky. I didn't expect Alex to, and this is why I love talking to our experts, to be as critical of Dalton Kincaid. Hey, you need more. Well, Kincaid's not going to get much help because you don't have Shakir out there. You're not going to have James Cook. I shouldn't say that. We don't know, but neither player practicing today. Cook, the turf toe, it'd be a surprise if he's out there. So you may have Darrington Evans, up in the practice squad. You may see a lot of Ty Johnson. Josh Allen today shows up on the injury report. Well, he's got the finger. No, today it was finger/ankle, full participant. Huh. I don't remember any ankle injuries, so they're listing that. 16 players overall on that injury report today.
The thing that has me nervous about the Bills offensively is it's really less about the injuries and more about and you mentioned, it's great having our experts on because they can be critical, and Dan Fates, who joined us in the 3 o'clock hour, also was critical of Josh Allen. And I came back from my weekend out of town on Tuesday, and that was yes, the way the end of the game was managed by Sean McDermott, Joe Brady, and Josh Allen is what everybody talked about on Monday, on a blame assessment Monday. But I can't get Josh Allen's play out of my head. He wasn't good against the Texans. He made a lot of bad decisions. He made a lot of inaccurate throws. He completed 30% of his passes. He wasn't good. And this is a guy that we've seen play at an MVP caliber level. You can't take maybe you could take a week off, but not against the Texans. That's an opponent you're going to need a tiebreaker over at some point for seeding if you want to get to where we want you to go. I expect to bounce back. The guy's never lost 3 games in a row as a starter in this league, and I don't think it's going to happen on Monday. I don't think they're going to lose their 3rd in a row to drop to 3-3.
But where does that come from? I mean, like a bounce back. Does he have enough help around him? I just think, hey, the easiest way to do this is just to kind of dumb it down.
Yes.
I think you're going to have. And what's the safest play? Well, I got to check what the over-under is. I bet the under here on this game. Let me look up this on BetQL. I just expect a real low-scoring game. Don't turn the ball over because guess what? The Jets, sooner or later, with that old man, they're going to cough it up. I've watched enough of the Jets. I watched the Titan game. I watched the Bronco game. I watched all the Viking game. It's not getting any better for this team.
41. I mean, it's kind of a low over-under for an NFL game. You still taking the under?
Broncos is at 35.5. That's the lowest I'm seeing right now on the board. Yeah, you know what? I'm still taking that.
Yeah. Yeah, so you could see this being like a 17-13 or 20-17 kind of game.
There's no harm in run, incomplete pass, punt in this game. And I know when you have Josh Allen, that's not so sexy. Who cares how you win this game? Remember the banner at Fisher 2 summers ago? Yeah, that's all you have to do. Find a way. Does not matter. And if you pointed out, all these guys back on defense, that should just be enough to carry you in this game. You don't have to match the Jets point for point. This isn't going to be a game where the Jets are going to drive down the field repeatedly, and then you have to pick up and go. The Bills were down by 2 touchdowns again, and they give them credit. They put themselves right back in position. I don't see the Jets doing that to this Buffalo defense.
I can't give them any credit. I really cannot. I know that their defense is good, but overall as a team, I cannot give the Jets any credit. In fact, so much so that I really wish Fireman Ed, that fraud, I wish he would start a chant before every game, not Jets, 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 Jets. Let's go with SELL, sell the team, because that's the only thing that will make me believe that the Jets are truly going to be competitive in the NFL.
Either that or put Woody Johnson overseas, give him some ambassadorship, and then he's out of the picture, and you let football people do the football things.
Maybe that's going to happen.
Maybe it's simple, get him out of the picture. By the way, Fireman, for folks who don't remember the story, it's the butt fumble, and Fireman Ed had a big declaration. I quit. I'm not going to do this anymore. Okay, well, you're back. What's the next thing you're going to quit?
Right.
Yeah.
I think that he probably got paid to come back. I think he got some endorsement deal or something happened where he's getting a little taste for being there.
So I did have one interaction with Fireman Ed, and this was pre-9/11 danger. And how do I know Dan Leverfeld? Because I was selling print ads for him way back when.
Okay.
Way back when, he got paid for appearances. Fireman Ed would show up at sports bars and hang out and watch games, and he would host things. So Fireman Ed is a fan, but he's also like one of these old-time influencers before we had social media.
Of course.
Like we would run ads, hey, and come out to the Chuckle Hut, and we'll have Fireman Ed tonight as well. Like literally, he built and good for him, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not saying Fireman. I mean, I think he's a little bit of a fraud when he says, I'm going to quit the team, and then you're back. I mean, you're not really true to your word. But my point is that Woody Johnson is the problem. And as long as he's in control, I can't take this team seriously. I cannot take this team seriously.
No.
So we'll continue to discuss this matchup, and we'll get into it a little bit more on the Jets side of things and get a little recap of this week that was for the New York Jets when Dan Leberfeld of Jets Confidential stops by the sports bar tomorrow afternoon at 4:25. Make an appointment for that one.
Mike Danger, you in your FM career would take requests. We haven't played this song at all today. I'm just going to lay out everybody that has suffered with me. Let's just kind of bask. Hit it, Mike Danger.
Yeah! Meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets.
He's a new man, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know this gentleman standing across from me. He's smiling. He's less salty. He's in a good mood. This is what happens when you're a fan of a team. It really, I mean, we say it all the time. I mean, if you're a Bills fan, everybody's in a bad mood when they lose on a Monday, right? Like, we get so enamored with our teams that they ruin our moods when they don't perform at a certain level. Man, I hope I'm not that way. I really don't want to be that way.
Well, in this run so far, go back to the Milwaukee series. You're 2 outs away. You're down by 2 runs. Oh, my gosh. We were given our last rites. We have new life. Hey, we've expected the worst. To the point where last night Lindor hits the grand slam. It's fantastic. Oh, my gosh, 2 walks. Oh, no, now Schwarber's coming up.
Yeah, you're waiting for it. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop, of course. The Mets get it done, and they advance to the NLCS. And this is the happiest I've seen you as a fan because we haven't been on the air. We were not on the air in 2015. We were on the air in 2016.
2016, they lose to the Giants in a wild card game. They lose a couple of years ago in a wild card game to the wild card series of the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, NLCS, here we come. Going to California.
Who do you want? You want the Dodgers? You want the Padres? You want the Dodgers, right?
I want the Dodgers.
Padres are scary.
Padre lineup is threatening. But then again, the Dodger bullpen, Philly fan, your bullpen was better in recent years. It wasn't good in this series. Like, you could say Turner, sure, but the bullpen ultimately let you down. Oh, my gosh. The Dodger bullpen, wow, they got it done last night.
Yeah, they were great last night. They get the win. And the Yankees get the win as well. They have a chance to eliminate the Royals tonight.
No. Didn't you hear the tying run last night from the Royals in the 8th inning? Yankees ahead by a run. Bob Costas on the call.
Line drive, base hit to center field. It was smothered out there. I don't know if it was caught.
It was caught.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh.
What a play.
Wow.
I don't know if it was caught. I don't know if it was caught. The whole crowd, you could hear him go, yeah. Oh. 45,000 other people knew it was caught, Bob.
Well, it goes to, I think, what we've been saying throughout the course of this series. It's been a little bit of a tough watch, a little bit of a tough listen with Bob on the call. Put us out of our misery. Let's end it tonight. Let's move on. And just after 6, we'll get first pitch from Detroit, correct?
That's correct, 6:08. I've never been less excited about a Buffalo Sabres season to the point where, let's be honest, did you forget the home opener was tonight?
I knew it was tonight, but it just is not a needle mover in any way, shape, or form for me. I'm excited about the Amerks on Friday night. Don't get me wrong. Friday night, new head coach, Coach Leone.
Go check it out. Yeah.
Came here on Tuesday. We encourage you to go out and support your local team because they're good. And they have a good roster again. And Yabo getting the captaincy.
Yeah.
I've been wearing my hat all season long for the captain. Likes to design ball caps in his spare time.
We got to get him back on here.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Sabres tonight, 7 o'clock. They're at home. KeyBank Center, the venue for Sabres Kings. We'll have that action for you coming up at 7 here on The Fan. But listen anyways. I can't get excited, man. I just need to see something. Give me something. Give me a win that's spectacular. Give me a win that has some life to it.
Just give me a win. How about that?
Well, let's start with that.
Let's just start.
Take these
I
steps.
would sign up for a 3-1 win tonight. And the suspense, hey, there's a new goal song.
And the hashtag, new hashtag as well.
New hashtag, hashtag Saberhood. This sounds like some marketing firm's brainstorm. Yes, we need to kind of unite the Saber fan base here. We're just going to say Saberhood. It's part of our culture. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really enthusiastic about it, if I'm being honest.
Not great, Bob.
The digital equivalent to, hey, let's whip out the goat head jerseys, or hey, we're going to change the color from navy blue to royal blue.
Yeah, it's the, hey, you may not like an 0-2 star, and this roster might not, but and forget about all those years we haven't made the play. We've got a new song, and stay tuned tonight.
I am curious about what they're going to trot out for the goal song. But it means nothing if you don't start winning games. I really don't care unless you start winning games. So again, 7 o'clock tonight, we'll have Sabres Kings for you here on the Fan Rochester. Let's get to a round of shots next on the Fan.
Yeah, we'll give you some more baseball details here. We'll tell you, as you mentioned, Mason Yappes is the captain. The alternates, as we'll set you up for the Amerks tomorrow night. Some NBA news here as well. Now, who is the most disliked NBA player in the sports bar? From Mike Danger's standpoint, is it LeBron? Is it Zion Williamson?
Ooh.
Well, I'm going to submit these quotes from another NBA player.
Okay. We're going to get to that and more next with a round of shots next on the Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar. Rochester Sports Update.
Bills Thursday practice. Again, lots of players injured. 16 on the report. James Cook, Khalil Shakir, and Oliver not practicing at all today. Daquan Jones on that Jet offense.
They have Aaron Rodgers back there, so they're a good football team. The defense play hard, they fly around. So it's definitely a team that we can't take for granted based off their record and how they've been playing.
Week 6 begins tonight. It's the 49ers and Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. Lots happening tonight. You got the Yankees looking to advance to the ALCS. They're in Kansas City once again. Garrett Cole going up against Michael Wacha, 8:08 p.m. for the first pitch. Game 4, Tigers-Guardians at 6:08. A win for Detroit, and they'll move on. We got the home opener tonight for the Sabres. They're taking on the LA Kings, 7 o'clock for the coverage here on The Fan. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Epic victories, heartbreaking defeats. No matter your team, no matter your game, we talk sports. The Fan, Rochester.
There's so much going on. We didn't talk about Thursday Night Football on Prime yet. We'll get to that in a second. I mean, the thing that I think everybody is talking about outside of the world of sports, but this is where sports intersects with real life, and what they're going through right now in Florida is it's real life. It's scary. It is not great.
Yeah, so the sun came up today in the Tampa area, and because of drones and whatnot, you're getting your first glimpse of footage. And again, it's you don't have we'll get more of a sense of the damage down there. And for everybody that has family down there, and maybe you have property, I don't know, but certainly we're thinking about you. One thing though that kind of was at the top of the headlines today. The roof at Tropicana Field, the home of the Tampa Bay Rays, it's gone. The roof got blown right off. The ballpark, by the way, had been used as a shelter for first responders.
I was going to say, I thought I remember seeing earlier in the week that they were already setting that up to be a place where, like a central operations hub for rescue and for damage control. And to see that roof get ripped off last night, man, that was chilling. The surges, the flooding. I'm seeing things that you probably saw as well. Oh, my God, we got so much water in our house. There's an alligator in our basement. There's an alligator in the hallway. That's enough for me to say, you know what? Winters in Rochester, not bad. Not too bad. I think I can handle a little lake effect snow. It's horrible, man. And then I think there's word that there's another storm on the heels of this one that could be coming their way again. Like, if that's true, man, these guys have been through a lot. My old neighbor, you've heard me talk about my neighbors before, right? Sammy the Bull has been down there for a couple of years.
This isn't one of the Tonys, no.
No, Sammy the Bull has been down there for a couple of years. He works in water. He was with the Water Authority here in town, and man, he's a great dude. And he's been down there and hustling, working, helping, doing everything he can to kind of get everybody's lives back together. It's a rough scene, and we hope that they're able to recover quickly. And as far as the Trop goes, man, it's not the first time we've seen a sports venue get decimated by a storm. Remember when the old Metrodome roof collapsed?
Right, so the Metrodome roof collapsing, and I'm trying to recall the timeline. Did they get that in play for the – I think there's enough time that when the season opens the last week in March that you'll have that – at least I would think that roof back in place.
Yeah, and they're building a new stadium at some point there.
Yeah, not until 08. I mean, it's not –
28.
Yeah, so it's not going to be anytime soon.
Right.
No.
Well, that was some chilling footage of that roof getting ripped off there at the Trop in Tampa, and we're thinking about our friends down there in Florida.
The LA Dodgers used 8 relievers, 8 of them, and they're 8-0 shutout of the Padres. This sets up the winner-take-all for Game 5 tomorrow night. LA has yet to announce who they're going to start at home. The Padres going with the former Dodger, Yu Darvish, 8:08 for the first pitch tomorrow night on Fox.
You want the Dodgers to win that game. You're pulling for the Dodgers?
I think the Dodger lineup is more spotty. It's like quite frankly, the Philly lineup. It's very top-heavy, like Tommy Edman, Gavin Lux. These are not guys.
Did it last night without Freddie Freeman.
Freddie Freeman on one leg, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like this is a great series, and I know a lot of people believe that whoever wins this series could actually win the whole thing.
I believe that too.
Your Mets might have something to say about that, though.
I think it's going to be a fun series, though.
Yeah.
My gosh. Amerks have named their leadership group Danger. Mason Yops is going to be the captain.
Yabo!
Forwards Brett Murray, Josh Dunn, defenseman Ethan Proud, Zach Metza, they are the alternates. The 30-year-old Yops in his 4th season here in Rochester. He is on a 2-way contract. Amber's opening the season at home tomorrow night against Belleville. That's when it's going to feel like hockey season because you'll hear the dulcet tones of Don Stevens, the Hall of Famer, with a call right here on The Fan.
And we got hockey tonight, hockey tomorrow night. Hockey is back on The Fan Rochester. I like these moves. Prow is great. I like Metza getting an alternate as well. I mean, he's been with the team now a couple seasons, but he's got that leadership ability that we remember from his national championship run with Quinnipiac, and he's been good for the Amherst here since joining the team right out of college. So exciting times for the Rochester Americans. They turn the page from the Seth Appert era now to the Leo era. Michael Leone.
The Lido Shuffle.
Leo Shuffle? The
Leo Shuffle. Right. Home opener for the Sabres tonight. Miss a misdirection. Let's not pay any attention to the 0-2 record or our roster on the ice. Let's talk about the goal song rather than individual goal songs this year for Buffalo. There's going to be one for the team overall, and we'll find out together 7 o'clock here. That is if they score tonight.
What's your bet? Do you have a song in mind? Do you think they harken back to a bygone era and pick a goal song?
Isn't that how most of these are? Like you have Hall & Oates for the Leafs, right? It's something that
right.
So what would be?
I think that's the worst goal song. I just think it's so bad. I mean, like if you want to do something that's corny, then go ahead and make it Fishing in the Dark. Yeah. Or Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody, or Party in the USA, the way Skinner did when he was here, right? I'm going to say Machine Head by Bush. I'm going Machine Head. I know that's the song they used to introduce the team to back in the Goat Head days, back in the Glory days when they were making consistent playoff appearances. I don't know that it fits as a goal song, but I don't know why that song is in my head right now.
Is there anything from the Goo Goo Dolls that would get you going? I'm trying to think of like a Buffalo connection here. Nothing.
Long Way Down has a lot of tempo, but the subject matter of that song probably doesn't play with where you want the.
No, that fit.
Could be their theme song, not necessarily their goal song.
I love the Nighthawks goal song. They had Jukebox Hero that made sense and it actually hit. And then they changed that.
Oh,
yeah, no, they didn't use that last year. What did they use last year? The Give Me a Hell, Give Me a Yeah. What is that song? Nobody liked it around me.
A country song? I don't know.
No. Yeah, you would know the song.
Okay.
But anyhow, Sabres tonight. Former NBA player and current ESPN commentator Kendrick Perkins, well, he's also a businessman. He's founded a company called Nilly. Here's the pitch from Nilly. Nilly, Nilly. They're going to offer up front to high school seniors $25,000 into 6 figures. This in exchange for the exclusive rights to use or sell the athlete's name, image, and likeness up to 7 years. And the company and their investors get a 10 to 50% of the cut. Financial experts are saying this is a horrible deal for kids. It's nothing more than a high-interest loan.
That's right. You're 18 years old. I'm Kendrick Perkins, and we're going to prey on you. We're going to prey on you and use our celebrity status, our name.
It's disgusting.
To get you to sign.
It is absolutely disgusting. So they're going to go to these high school kids. Here's $25,000 for your family. You know they're going to go to kids and families that need it now.
It's disgusting, but it isn't really that different than what the schools themselves are actually doing or selling. I mean, the schools themselves are selling the sex appeal of their programs in a way that will be different than Nilly, but it's the same outcome. It's, hey, come to our school, look at our great facility, look at our upgraded weight room. Let's get the cheerleaders to go out to dinner with you and meet some of your team. Like the salesmanship that's happening with these schools and these kids, they don't really care about the kids. They care about a winning program, and they're going to take advantage of you at some point.
No, I think they're totally different, dude. I think that I hear what you're saying. I understand that, like the sales pitch, let's just get him in. Shedeur Sanders, $5.6 million. I just looked it up. He holds the record right now for NIL.
It's pretty good.
Okay. So, Shedeur, here's 25. You know what? We're going to make it 50. We really like you, Shedeur, 50,000. Okay. You're going to forfeit $2.5 million down the road. It's like these things shouldn't occur.
Yeah, but
That's bad.
I mean, I see what Perkins is doing here. I mean, I get what he's doing. He's basically doing what the schools are. I mean, the schools aren't going to take a cut, but an agent will.
But you're Perkins. You play in the NBA. You're on ESPN. Do you really need to do this?
No.
That's the other thing. Finally, Ben Simmons getting paid in the NBA. Still.
Really? We're still talking about this guy?
Listen to this. He is going to make, and because these contracts, Danger, are guaranteed, $40.3 million this season with Brooklyn. And if you think he's overpaid, he's got a message for you.
Is he still with the Nets?
He's still there.
Oh, I didn't know. I lost track of where he went.
Oh, no.
He just fell off the face of the earth.
We'll get to that. $40.3 million. He's getting a lot of hate online, and somebody asked him about it. And hey, this is him, quote, for somebody to say that, it's disrespectful. People can say what they want to say. They've got to live with it. At the end of the day, it all catches up with you. Simmons has missed 189 of 246 regular season games with Brooklyn alone. This doesn't even count Philadelphia, due to mental health issues and 2 procedures on his back. He played in just 15 games last season.
Soft. He's Charmin. He's tissue paper. This guy is soft, and
it's the worst contract of all time.
It's a bad contract. It's a really, really bad deal. The Sixers couldn't shed that guy fast enough, and even in shedding him, it didn't help. But this guy is. I thought he was done. I thought he got out. I didn't realize that he was still in the league. $40 million.
How many games did he play this year? 30.
He played 15 last year?
15 last year. I have a couple Brooklyn friends. They hate him, too.
I think I'm going to actually say less than last year. I'm going to say somewhere between 10 and 15. 10 and 15.
10 and 15, $40 million. So he played 40 games. It's $1 million a game.
Yeah, no, I think between 10 and 15. Let's keep track. Let's see how many games Ben Simmons plays for the Nets this year. That's disgusting. We're going to take a break and come back with last call. You can join us at 866-4FAN. You can have the final say in the sports bar, 866-4326, and we'll let you know who's stopping by for Friday afternoon in the sports bar here on the Fan Rochester.
Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Last call in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. We appreciate you stopping by. If you missed Alex Brasky of Bill's Digest or Dan Fates, Buffalo Plus at 13 Wham Sports, find those conversations wherever you get your podcasts. Just search out the sports bar, and that includes the free-to-download Odyssey app. This is Last Call. You can have the final say at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
Mister, what's up, John?
Hey, guys. You know, your previous guest talked about Ty Johnson. He was high on Ty Johnson. I'm the same way. I think Ty Johnson's got the skills of James Cook, and I think he's a better receiver. The thing that really concerns me about the Monday night game, we're going to win, but Josh, he's still feeling those effects from the Baltimore game, let alone what happened to him in Houston. I think he's got a concussion, and he's gutting it out. What are your thoughts?
Well, that would be scandalous if they were letting Josh Allen play with a concussion. First and
They'll
foremost.
never admit that he's playing with a concussion, so you'll never hear him talk about his head injury at all. Just not going to hear him talk about
he's not in the protocol because he didn't have a concussion.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. No, the point about Ty Johnson, all right. We're stretching here if we're thinking Darrington Evans or even Ray Davis, or I want to see what Ty Johnson does getting a full share of the work.
I'm really not too worried about it. The thing that worries me more than anything is Josh Allen's decision-making. That's really the thing that bothers me.
As it should.
That's the thing that bothered me about the Houston game. Everybody's going to talk about how the game ended, and rightfully so. You mismanaged it. You handed it. It's an unforgivable loss, right? But Josh wasn't good in that Houston game, and I need to see him rebound. I need to see him look like he looked the first 3 weeks. And I don't know what needs to happen for that. He's going to be shorthanded, obviously, so it could be even more of a challenge presented for him against a defense that has given him problems and has played well. But I don't see the Jets as a good enough team to win on Monday night, just to tip my hand a little bit of which direction I'm leaning. I don't. I know that this is a game they have to win. I'm not saying they can. I don't think they can do it, man. I just don't. There you go. That's the show for this afternoon. We're back tomorrow afternoon starting at 3 o'clock. We'll get you ready for your sports weekend. We'll set your fantasy football lineups for Week 6 with Andy Behrens, our buddy from Yahoo Fantasy, stopping by at 3:25. And then make a little note in your phone to join us at 4:25. Learn more about what's going on this week with the New York Jets. From the guy that's there in the middle of it all, Dan Leberfeld of Jets Confidential, will share his thoughts on a memorable week for all the wrong reasons with the New York Jets in advance of Monday night's game against the Buffalo Bills. We'll be doing the heavy lift on Monday afternoon, 1 hour show from 3 until 4 as we get you ready for that game. Tonight, we've got Buffalo Sabres action. That's the home opener against the LA Kings. It's coming up at 7 o'clock, but listen anyways. JR Sport Brief next on the Fan Rochester. Have a great night.